Jesse Stevens's sweat glistens on his brow as he crouches in the shadows of the massive Ulian colony ship. The cylindrical vessel looms over Earth, its arrival sparking global panic and frenzied military mobilization. Jesse, a 28-year-old Navy SEAL chosen for this covert mission, steels himself for the task ahead. His exceptional physical prowess and tactical skills make him the ideal candidate to infiltrate the alien craft and gather critical intelligence. Heart pounding, Jesse spots a maintenance hatch and makes his move. He slips inside, the cool air of the ship a stark contrast to the warmth of Earth's atmosphere. As he navigates the alien corridors, his senses on high alert, he encounters a group of Ulian security guards. Jesse's training kicks in, and he engages the aliens in hand-to-hand combat. The struggle intensifies and Jesse's heart rate skyrockets. Sweat pours from his body, saturating his clothes and filling the air with his distinct human scent. Suddenly, the female Ulian guard named Karina freezes. Her eyes dilate, and she inhales deeply. Without warning, she turns on her fellow guards, attacking them with unexpected ferocity. Jesse, momentarily stunned by this turn of events, seizes the opportunity to escape deeper into the ship. As he runs, his mind races to process what just happened. The realization hits him. His sweat, laden with human pheromones, triggered an intense reaction in the female Ulian. This unexpected advantage could be the key to completing his mission and potentially saving humanity. Pressing on, Jesse navigates the labyrinthine interior of the alien vessel. He discovers a central command center, his heart nearly stopping as he overhears the Ulian leaders discussing their invasion plans. Their voices carry through the air, revealing their true intentions: to harvest human DNA and enhance their own species, which has stagnated due to generations of genetic engineering. Jesse's blood runs cold as he listens to the aliens discuss humanity's genetic potential. He knows he must transmit this crucial information back to Earth immediately. As he attempts to access a communication terminal, a group of female Ulian scientists rounds the corner. Jesse tenses, preparing for a fight, but then remembers the effect of his sweat. Purposefully exerting himself, Jesse allows his pheromone-laden sweat to fill the air. The reaction is immediate and chaotic. The female Ulians turn on each other, their behavior becoming erratic and aggressive. In the ensuing confusion, Jesse slips past them and reaches the ship's main computer. His fingers fly over the alien interface as he downloads vital data about Ulian weaknesses and their invasion plans. The fate of humanity rests on his shoulders, and the weight of this responsibility pushes him to work faster. Just as he finishes the download, alarms blare throughout the ship. Jesse's presence has been detected. Now, with the critical intelligence secured, Jesse must find a way off the massive alien vessel. The corridors fill with the sound of approaching Ulian guards. Jesse takes a deep breath, knowing that his unique advantage, the effect of his sweat on female Ulians, may be his only hope for escape. With determination in his eyes, he prepares to face whatever challenges lie ahead, armed with both his SEAL training and this newfound biological weapon. The future of Earth depends on his success. Jesse's heart pounded as he raced through the alien corridors, the ship's alarms blaring in his ears. His muscles burned with exertion, sweat pouring from every pore. As he rounded a corner, he collided with a tall, lithe figure. Instinctively, he raised his fists, ready to fight, but froze when he saw her. The female Ulian before him was different from the others. Her iridescent skin shimmered under the harsh ship lights, and her large almond-shaped eyes widened as she inhaled deeply. "You're the human," she breathed, her voice a melodic whisper. "Who are you?" Jesse demanded, tensing for a potential attack. "I am Zara, lead geneticist of this vessel," she replied, her gaze never leaving his face. "Your scent, it's intoxicating." Jesse took a cautious step back, remembering the effect his sweat had on the female Ulians. "What do you want?" Zara's eyes darted to the flashing lights along the corridor. "I can help you escape," she said urgently, "but I need something in return. A sample of your DNA." Jesse's mind raced. This could be a trap, but it could also be his best chance at survival. "Why should I trust you?" "Because without you, my species faces extinction," Zara explained, her voice tinged with desperation. "Follow me to my lab. I'll explain everything. Against his better judgment, Jesse nodded. Zara led him through a maze of corridors, expertly avoiding patrols. They entered a sterile laboratory filled with advanced equipment Jesse could barely comprehend. As Zara sealed the door, she turned to Jesse. Our species is dying, she said, her voice heavy with sorrow. Generations of genetic engineering have left us with a degenerative disorder. Most Ulians are now infertile. Jesse's brow furrowed. And you think my DNA can help? Zara nodded eagerly. The effect your pheromones have on our females, it's unprecedented. It could be the key to our survival. As Zara prepared to extract a DNA sample, the ship's alarm suddenly intensified. A booming voice echoed through the speakers. Intruder detected in Sector 7. All units converge. Initiate ship-wide lockdown. Zara's eyes widened in panic. She glanced at the DNA extractor, then at Jesse. In a split second, she made her decision. Grabbing a vial, she quickly synthesized a concentrated version of Jesse's pheromones and, before he could stop her, injected it into her arm. The effect was immediate and intense. Zara's skin began to glow, her eyes dilating to almost completely black. She gasped, her body trembling as the amplified pheromones coursed through her system. What have you done? Jesse asked, alarmed by her transformation. Zara's voice was strained as she replied, buying us time. The pheromones, they'll spread through the ventilation system. It'll cause chaos, distract the others. True to her word, shouts and crashes began to echo through the ship. Jesse could hear the sounds of fighting in the distance, female voices raised in anger and desperation. We need to move, Jesse said, grabbing Zara's arm. Where are the escape pods? Zara shook her head, trying to clear it. This way, she said, leading him out of the lab. As they navigated the corridors, Jesse saw the effects of the amplified pheromones firsthand. Female Ulians fought amongst themselves, their usual composure shattered. Male guards tried to restore order, but were overwhelmed by the frenzied females. Zara used her high-level access to override security protocols, clearing a path to the escape pods. As they ran, Jesse's tactical mind kicked in. Leaving now would save his life, but Earth would still be in danger. Wait, he said, pulling Zara to a stop. I need to do more. Where's the engine room? Zara's luminescent face contorted in confusion. The engine room? Why? To buy Earth more time, Jesse explained. We need to sabotage the ship's propulsion systems. Conflict flashed across Zara's features, but she nodded. This way, she said, changing course. They reached the engine room, finding it guarded by a group of male Ulian engineers. Jesse's training took over as he engaged them in hand-to-hand combat. The aliens were strong, but Jesse's human fighting techniques caught them off guard. As fists flew and bodies crashed against control panels, alarms blared anew. Jesse managed to land a solid kick against a critical component, causing a shower of sparks and a cascade of system failures. We need to go now, Zara shouted over the din of failing machinery. They sprinted back towards the escape pods, the ship groaning and shuddering around them. As they rounded the final corner, an imposing figure blocked their path. An Ulian male, taller and more muscular than the others, stood before them, his eyes blazing with fury. Zara, he growled, you betray your own kind for this human. Zara stepped forward, her amplified pheromones causing the air around her to shimmer. Commander Krell, you don't understand. This human could save our species. Krell's face contorted with rage. Enough! He roared, raising a weapon. Jesse tensed, ready to fight. Beside him, Zara's glow intensified, her loyalty torn between her people and the human who might be their salvation. As Krell's finger tightened on the trigger, Jesse knew that the next few moments would determine not only his fate, but potentially the future of both their species. Time seemed to slow as Krell's finger tightened on the trigger. In that instant, Jesse's training took over. He lunged forward, ducking low to avoid the weapon's line of fire. The blast from Krell's gun scorched the wall behind him, leaving a smoldering hole in the metal. Jesse's momentum carried him into Krell's midsection, tackling the larger Ulian with all his strength. The impact sent them both crashing to the floor, the weapon skittering across the deck. Krell roared in anger, his muscular arms wrapping around Jesse in a bone-crushing grip. As they grappled on the ground, Jesse's heart raced, pumping adrenaline through his veins. Sweat poured from his body, filling the air with his potent human scent. Zara, still affected by the amplified pheromones, stumbled toward the escape pod's control panel, her luminescent skin pulsing with an otherworldly glow. Jesse struggled against Krell's superior strength, his muscles straining as he fought to break free. He managed to land a solid elbow to the alien's face, momentarily loosening the alien's grip. Using the brief opening, Jesse slipped out of Krell's grasp and scrambled to his feet. Krell rose, his eyes blazing with fury. "You cannot hope to defeat me, human," he snarled, advancing on Jesse. Jesse circled warily, his fists raised in a defensive stance. "I don't need to defeat you," he replied, his voice steady despite his racing pulse. "I just need to survive." As they exchanged blows, Jesse's sweat continued to saturate the air. The effect on Zara intensified, causing her to lose focus on the launch sequence. She turned from the control panel, her eyes wide and unfocused. "Jesse," she gasped, her voice strained. "The pheromones. I can't." Krell lunged at Jesse, his massive fist connecting with the human's jaw. Jesse staggered back, tasting blood. He spun away from another punch, using Krell's momentum against him. As the Ulian commander stumbled past, Jesse noticed a change in his demeanor. Krell's movements became less coordinated, his eyes blinking rapidly as if trying to clear his vision. Realization dawned on Jesse. The concentrated pheromones were affecting Krell as well. The male Ulian, previously immune to Jesse's natural scent, was succumbing to the amplified version coursing through Zara's system. Seizing the opportunity, Jesse pressed his advantage. He launched into a flurry of strikes, targeting Krell's vulnerable points with precision. The Ulian commander, disoriented and confused, failed to block the assault. A final, powerful roundhouse kick sent Krell crashing into the wall. He slumped to the floor unconscious. Before Jesse could catch his breath, the sound of running footsteps echoed through the corridor. A group of female Ulian security officers rounded the corner, weapons drawn. As they entered the room, the effect of Jesse's pheromones hit them like a tidal wave. The female Ulians froze, their eyes dilating as they inhaled deeply. In an instant, their disciplined demeanor shattered. They turned on each other, snarling and clawing, each desperate to get closer to Jesse. "Zara, we need to go," Jesse shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her towards the escape pod. They stumbled into the small craft, the sounds of fighting growing louder behind them. Jesse slammed his hand on the launch button, praying it would work. The pod's door sealed shut as the engine roared to life. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. A computerized voice echoed through the pod speakers. "Warning! Critical system failure detected. Ship integrity compromised." The escape pod shuddered as it detached from the Ulian vessel. Through the small viewport, Jesse and Zara watched in awe as sections of the massive ship began to break apart. Explosions rippled across its surface, sending debris hurtling into Earth's atmosphere. "The engine room," Jesse breathed. "We did more damage than I thought." As their pod raced away from the disintegrating mothership, smaller Ulian vessels began to deploy. The invasion force, while crippled, was still active. Jesse turned to Zara, ready to strategize their next move, but stopped short when he saw her condition. The Ulian geneticist was curled in on herself, her skin glowing so brightly it was almost painful to look at. She trembled violently, her breath coming in short gasps. "Zara," Jesse asked, concern evident in his voice, "what's happening to you?" She looked up at him, her eyes wide with pain and fear. "The pheromones," she managed to say between labored breaths. "They're changing me. I don't understand." Jesse's mind raced. The amplified pheromones were having unforeseen effects on Zara's Ulian physiology. He needed to stabilize her condition, but the escape pod's medical supplies were limited. As he rummaged through the small med kit, the pod's communication system crackled to life. A stern voice came through, speaking in clipped official tones. "Unidentified craft, this is Earth Unified Defense Command. Identify yourself and state your intentions." Jesse grabbed the comm unit, his heart pounding. "This is Navy SEAL Jesse Stevens, ID number 86753009. I've escaped from the Ulian mothership with critical intelligence. Request immediate extraction upon landing. There was a pause before the voice responded. Acknowledge, Stevens. Be advised we cannot confirm your status. Approach with caution. As the communication cut off, Jesse felt the pod shudder. They were entering Earth's atmosphere. He secured Zara as best he could and braced for impact, watching as the blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean grew larger in the viewport. The pod hit the water with a tremendous splash, rocking violently as it settled on the waves. Almost immediately, Jesse noticed water seeping in through a crack in the hull. We need to get out, he said, helping Zara to her feet. Can you swim? Zara nodded weakly, her glow pulsing erratically. They managed to open the pod's hatch and emerge into the bright sunlight. The salt water stung Jesse's eyes as he helped Zara stay afloat. In the distance, he could see ships approaching, both human naval vessels and smaller Ulian crafts. The race to reach them had begun. Jesse knew that the fate of Earth could depend on which side got to them first. As they bobbed in the choppy waves, Jesse's mind worked furiously. He needed to signal the human forces without alerting the Ulians to their exact position. Beside him, Zara's condition continued to deteriorate, her once smooth skin now mottled and her breathing labored. Jesse realized that Zara's survival might be key to understanding the full impact of human-Ulian interactions. As he held her close, trying to keep them both afloat, he knew that the decisions he made in the next few moments could shape the future of both their species. The human and Ulian vessels drew nearer, their wakes churning the already turbulent sea. Jesse took a deep breath, preparing himself for whatever challenges lay ahead. The true test of his mission and humanity's future was about to begin. The true test of his mission and humanity's future was about to unfold in the churning waters of the Pacific. Jesse's arms burned with fatigue as he struggled to keep both himself and Zara afloat. The Ulian's skin pulsed with an eerie glow, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The sound of engines grew louder, and Jesse's heart raced as he tried to determine which vessels would reach them first. Suddenly, a familiar shape appeared on the horizon, the sleek silhouette of a U.S. Navy destroyer. Jesse's spirits soared as he recognized the ship, its hull number identifying it as the USS Hawkins. The destroyer's approach sent waves crashing over them, and Jesse tightened his grip on Zara. "Hold on," he urged her, his voice hoarse from the salt water. "Help is coming." The whir of rotor blades cut through the air as a rescue helicopter launched from the Hawkins deck. It hovered above them, its downdraft creating a maelstrom of spray. Jesse blinked water from his eyes, searching for a way to signal the crew. Drawing on his SEAL training, Jesse raised one arm in a specific pattern, using hand signals to communicate his identity. The helicopter lowered a rescue basket, and Jesse maneuvered Zara into it first. As she was lifted to safety, he treaded water, watching the Ulian ships closing in. The basket descended again, and Jesse climbed in, his muscles screaming in protest. As he was hoisted up, a blast of energy from an Ulian weapon sizzled past, missing him by inches. The helicopter banked sharply, racing back to the Hawkins as the destroyer's weapon systems engaged, keeping the alien vessels at bay. Jesse's feet had barely touched the deck when he and Zara were whisked away to a quarantine area. The ship's medical team, led by a woman in a white coat, swarmed around them. Jesse caught snippets of urgent conversation as they were examined. "Dr. Brown, look at these readings. I've never seen anything like it. The aliens' biosigns are off the charts." The doctor, her name tag identifying her as Dr. Emily Brown, leaned in close to Jesse. "I'm going to need a full workup on both of you. We're dealing with unknown factors here." As the medical team collected samples and ran tests, Jesse couldn't take his eyes off Zara. Her condition seemed to be worsening, her luminescent skin now mottled and pulsating erratically. Dr. Brown noticed his concern. "We're doing everything we can for her," she assured him, "but I need to know exactly what happened on that ship." Jesse recounted the events, from his capture to their escape, emphasizing the effects of his sweat on the Ulians. Dr. Brown's eyes widened as she made the connection. "Your sweat contains a compound that interacts with their physiology," she explained, her voice tinged with excitement and concern. It's causing intense reactions in the females, but it seems to be having a more severe effect on your friend here. Before Jesse could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Marcus Reeves's voice came over the intercom, his tone clipped and urgent. All hands, battle stations. We've got incoming Ulian vessels. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. The ship lurched beneath them as it changed course. Dr. Brown and her team worked frantically to secure equipment and stabilize Zara. Jesse's mind raced, processing the situation. Captain, he called out, knowing the intercom would pick up his voice. I have an idea. My sweat, it affects the Ulians. We might be able to use it as a weapon. There was a moment of silence before the captain's voice returned. Explain. Jesse quickly outlined his plan, his words tumbling out as the ship shuddered from a near miss. Captain Reeves listened, then gave a curt order to his weapons officer. Make it happen, and Stevens, I hope you're right about this. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Crew members collected samples of Jesse's sweat, loading them into modified missiles under Dr. Brown's supervision. Jesse stood at a viewport, watching as the Hawkins engaged in a deadly dance with the Ulian ships. Pheromone bombs away, the weapons officer announced. Jesse held his breath as he watched the missiles streak towards the alien vessels. For a moment, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. The Ulian ships began to move erratically, their coordinated attack falling apart. It's working, Dr. Brown breathed, standing beside Jesse. The female crew members must be incapacitated. Captain Reeves seized the opportunity, ordering a full barrage of conventional weapons. The Ulian fleet scattered, unable to mount an effective defense. As the last alien ship disappeared over the horizon, a cheer went up throughout the Hawkins. The victory was short-lived, however. An ear-splitting screech filled the air, and Jesse turned to see Zara convulsing on her bed. Her skin glowed blindingly bright, and every electronic device in the room began to malfunction. She's going into some kind of shock, Dr. Brown shouted over the noise. Her body temperature is skyrocketing. Jesse rushed to Zara's side, driven by an instinct he couldn't explain. As he approached, the screeching subsided, and Zara's glow dimmed slightly. Dr. Brown noticed the change immediately. Keep going, she urged. Your proximity seems to be stabilizing her. Cautiously, Jesse reached out and touched Zara's arm. The effect was immediate. Her convulsions stopped, and her breathing steadied. Dr. Brown checked her instruments, her brow furrowed in concentration. Incredible, she muttered. Your physical contact is counteracting the allergic response, but we need to maintain it to keep her stable. Jesse nodded, understanding the implications. He carefully positioned himself next to Zara, maintaining skin-to-skin contact. As he settled in for what promised to be a long and intimate journey, Captain Reeves' voice came over the intercom once more. Change of plans. We're heading to a secure facility on Kauai. ETA 6 hours. Dr. Brown, prepare your patients for transfer upon arrival. Jesse looked down at Zara's alien features, softened now in her unconscious state. He thought about the battles ahead, not just against the Ulians, but for understanding and cooperation between their species. As the USS Hawkins cut through the Pacific waves, Jesse steeled himself for the challenges to come, knowing that the fate of two worlds might rest in the connection between his human touch and Zara's alien form. Physiology. As the hours passed, Jesse's mind raced with possibilities and uncertainties about their future. The Hawkins docked at a hidden naval base on the island of Kauai. Jesse and Zara were quickly transferred to a state-of-the-art research facility nestled in the lush Hawaiian landscape. Dr. Brown led them through sterile corridors to a specially prepared chamber. We've been developing this technology in secret, Dr. Brown explained, gesturing to a complex array of equipment. It's designed to facilitate a neural link between different species. We believe it might be our best chance at understanding the Ulians and finding a peaceful resolution. Jesse looked at Zara, who nodded weakly. Her condition had stabilized, but she remained pale and lethargic. What exactly does this involve? He asked. Dr. Brown's expression turned serious. We'll connect both of you to the neural interface. Your minds will merge, allowing you to experience each other's memories and thoughts. But I must warn you, it's not without risks. The strain on your nervous systems could be severe. Jesse took a deep breath, weighing the potential benefits against the dangers. He thought of the battles raging across the globe, of the lives at stake. "I'll do it," he said firmly. The medical team sprang into action, attaching electrodes and sensors to Jesse and Zara. As they lay side by side in the chamber, Jesse felt a surge of anxiety. Dr. Brown's voice came through a speaker, steady and reassuring. "We're beginning the neural link now. Try to relax and let your minds open to each other." A sudden jolt of electricity coursed through Jesse's body. His vision blurred, and he felt as if he were falling through space. Colors swirled around him, coalescing into shapes and images. He blinked, finding himself in a vast alien cityscape. Towering structures of crystalline material reached towards a purple sky. Jesse realized with a start that he was seeing Zara's homeworld through her eyes. Emotions that were not his own flooded his consciousness. Wonder, longing, and a deep sense of loss. The scene shifted, and Jesse found himself in a sterile laboratory. He watched through Zara's memories as Ullian scientists pored over genetic data, their faces etched with concern. He felt Zara's growing unease as she understood the truth. Their species was facing extinction due to a lack of genetic diversity. Another shift, and Jesse witnessed a heated debate among Ullian leaders. He recognized the forceful voice of Commander Krell, arguing for the invasion of Earth. "We need their genetic material to survive," Krell shouted. "We have no choice." But there was opposition. A female Ullian with striking green markings stood up, her voice calm but firm. "There are other ways, Krell. We can seek peaceful contact, offer an exchange of knowledge and resources. We don't need to become conquerors." Jesse felt Zara's admiration for this dissenter, whose name he now knew was Lyra. He sensed a growing movement within Ullian society, a resistance to the path of war. As Jesse delved deeper into Zara's mind, he became aware of changes in his own body. His temperature seemed to be rising, while he sensed Zara cooling beside him. Their physiologies were synchronizing, adapting to each other in ways he couldn't fully comprehend. Suddenly, alarms blared through the facility. Jesse's consciousness snapped back to his own body, though the connection with Zara remained. Dr. Brown's voice came through, tight with tension. "We're under attack. A large Ullian force has breached the island's defenses. They're heading straight for us." Jesse tried to sit up, but the neural link held him in place. "We have to disconnect," he said urgently. "No," Dr. Brown replied. "The information you're gathering could be crucial. We need to continue as long as possible." Through their shared consciousness, Jesse and Zara formulated a plan. They focused on their newly synchronized physiologies, concentrating on their sweat glands and pheromone production. "Dr. Brown," Jesse called out, his voice strained with effort, "we think we can create a targeted pheromone burst. It might incapacitate the Ullians without causing permanent harm." The sounds of battle grew closer as Dr. Brown and her team worked feverishly to modify the chamber. Jesse could hear the staccato of gunfire and the high-pitched whine of Ullian energy weapons. "We've got incoming," a soldier's voice crackled over the intercom. "Unknown number of hostiles breaching the east wing." Jesse's heart raced as he sensed the approach of the Ullian strike team. Through Zara's knowledge, he recognized the tactical pattern, a male-only squad, led by Commander Krell himself. "They're almost here," Jesse said, his voice tight. "Are we ready?" Dr. Brown's response was drowned out by the sound of an explosion. The chamber door burst open, and Jesse caught a glimpse of Ullian soldiers pouring in, their weapons raised. In that moment, Jesse and Zara activated their shared ability. A wave of pheromones flooded the room, more potent than anything they had produced before. Jesse watched through blurring vision as the Ullian soldiers staggered, their movements becoming erratic. Commander Krell pushed forward, fighting against the effects. "Traitor," he snarled at Zara, raising his weapon. Jesse strained against the neural interface, desperate to break free and protect Zara. But the link held firm, their minds still entwined as the room descended into chaos around them. In that moment of desperation, Jesse and Zara's minds synchronized completely. They focused their combined will on their shared physiologies, channeling every ounce of energy into their sweat glands and pheromone production. A powerful burst of mist erupted from their bodies, filling the chamber with a concentrated cloud of pheromones. The effect was instantaneous and overwhelming. The male Ulian soldiers, previously unaffected by Jesse's secretions, stumbled and swayed, their movements becoming uncoordinated and sluggish. The female Ulians in the strike team collapsed to the floor, their aggressive demeanor replaced by a docile, euphoric state. Commander Krell, his face contorted with rage and confusion, fought against the pheromone's influence. He took a staggering step forward, his weapon wavering in his grip. What is this treachery?" he slurred, his eyes struggling to focus on Zara. Dr. Brown and her team, protected by hastily donned filtration masks, sprang into action. They moved swiftly through the incapacitated Ulian forces, disarming and restraining them with practiced efficiency. "Secure the perimeter," Dr. Brown shouted, her voice muffled by her mask. "And get me a medical team in here, stat. Our patients are going critical." Jesse's vision blurred as alarms blared from the monitoring equipment. He felt a strange sensation, as if his body were simultaneously burning and freezing. Through the neural link, he sensed Zara's vital signs fluctuating wildly alongside his own. As the pheromone mist began to dissipate, Jesse caught a final glimpse of Commander Krell being led away in restraints before darkness claimed him. When Jesse regained consciousness, he found himself lying on a hospital bed, surrounded by beeping monitors and concerned medical staff. Dr. Brown stood at his bedside, her face etched with a mixture of worry and excitement. "Welcome back, Jesse," she said, checking his vitals. "You've been out for almost 24 hours. How do you feel?" Jesse tried to speak, but his throat was dry and raw. Dr. Brown offered him a sip of water before he managed to croak out, "Zara?" Dr. Brown smiled. "She's stable. In fact, she's recovering faster than we expected. Your shared effort during the attack seems to have accelerated her adaptation to Earth's environment." As Jesse's mind cleared, he became aware of a lingering presence in his thoughts. It wasn't intrusive or alien, but rather a comforting sense of connection. He realized with a start that he could still feel Zara's consciousness, a faint echo of their neural link. "Dr. Brown," Jesse said, his voice stronger now, "I can still sense Zara. Is that normal?" The doctor's eyes widened with interest. "Fascinating. It seems the neural link has created a more permanent connection between you two. We'll need to run some tests to understand the full implications." Over the next few days, Jesse and Zara underwent a battery of examinations. The medical team discovered that their physiologies had been permanently altered by their shared experience. Jesse's sweat now produced a more refined pheromone compound, capable of affecting both male and female Ulians without causing extreme reactions. Zara's body had adapted to better process human pheromones, granting her increased resistance and control over her responses. As they recovered, Jesse and Zara spent hours talking, their newfound connection allowing them to communicate with a depth and intimacy that transcended words. They shared memories, emotions, and cultural insights, bridging the gap between their species in ways that went beyond mere biology. One afternoon, as they sat in the facility's garden, enjoying the warm Hawaiian sun, Dr. Brown approached them with excitement in her eyes. "We've made a breakthrough," she announced, barely containing her enthusiasm. "Our team has discovered that controlled exposure to Jesse's modified pheromones can temporarily alter Ulian physiology. This could potentially offer a solution to their species' genetic stagnation without the need for invasion or forced DNA harvesting." Zara's eyes lit up with hope. "This could change everything," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "If we can present this to the Ulian High Command, it might be enough to end the conflict." Before they could discuss the implications further, an aide rushed up to Dr. Brown, handing her a tablet. The doctor's expression grew serious as she read the screen. "The situation has escalated," she said gravely. "Many Ulian ships have ceased their attacks, responding to orders from their high command to stand down. However, a faction of hardline military leaders, led by someone called Admiral Vexer, is refusing to back down. They're preparing for a final assault on Earth's major population centers." Jesse felt a surge of persistence. "We need to act fast. Is there any way we can communicate with the Ulian leadership directly? Dr. Brown nodded. The United Nations is convening an emergency session to discuss the Ulian situation. They've requested your presence as key witnesses and potential mediators. As they prepared for their journey to New York, Jesse and Zara worked tirelessly with Dr. Brown's team to refine their understanding of human-alien biological interactions. They knew that the fate of both species might hinge on their ability to convince the UN and the alien leadership to work together. The night before their departure, Jesse and Zara stood on the facility's roof, gazing up at the stars. The weight of their responsibility hung heavy in the air, but there was also a sense of hope and possibility. Whatever happens, Jesse said softly, taking Zara's hand in his, we're in this together. Zara squeezed his hand, her luminescent skin pulsing gently in the darkness. Together, she agreed, her voice filled with a warmth that transcended species. As they prepared to leave for New York the next morning, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Dr. Brown burst into their room, her face pale with shock. Admiral Vexer's faction has launched a series of coordinated attacks on Earth's orbital defense systems, she announced, her voice tight with urgency. We need to get you to the UN immediately. The fate of both our species may depend on what happens in that meeting room. Jesse and Zara exchanged a determined look, their shared consciousness humming with a mix of anxiety and purpose. As they hurried to the waiting transport, they knew that the next few hours would determine the course of human-alien relations for generations to come. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin, not with weapons but with words and the unique bond forged between two unlikely allies. Allies. As they rushed towards the transport, a sudden commotion erupted at the facility's entrance. A group of armed individuals in unmarked tactical gear swarmed into the area, led by a stern-faced man with graying hair and a commanding presence. "Hold it right there," the man barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. "I'm General Marcus Blackwood, and you two are coming with us." Dr. Brown stepped forward, her face a mix of confusion and indignation. "What is the meaning of this? We have urgent business at the UN." General Blackwood cut her off with a sharp gesture. "I'm afraid that's no longer an option, Doctor. The situation has escalated beyond diplomatic measures." Jesse and Zara exchanged worried glances, their shared consciousness buzzing with apprehension. Through their link, Jesse sensed Zara's mix of curiosity and caution. Blackwood approached them, his voice lowered. "I lead a classified international task force dedicated to handling extraterrestrial threats. We need your unique abilities for a critical operation." "What kind of operation?" Jesse asked, his eyes narrowing. The general's expression grew grim. "Admiral Vexer's faction has established a hidden base on the far side of the moon. It's the staging ground for their attacks on our orbital defenses. We have a plan to infiltrate it, but we need your help to succeed." Zara stepped forward, her luminescent skin pulsing with a mix of emotions. "If it means stopping this conflict, we'll do whatever it takes." Blackwood nodded, a hint of relief crossing his features. "Good. We're wheels up in 10 minutes. Dr. Brown, I'm afraid you'll have to sit this one out." As they were ushered into a sleek, unmarked vehicle, Jesse felt a pang of guilt at leaving Dr. Brown behind. But the urgency of the situation left no room for hesitation. The drive was short and tense, ending at a secret launch facility hidden in the Nevada desert. Jesse's eyes widened as they approached a hangar housing a spacecraft unlike anything he'd ever seen. "This is the Nighthawk," Blackwood explained as they hurried toward the ship. "Experimental stealth technology designed to evade Ulian detection systems." Inside the craft, Jesse and Zara were introduced to a small team of elite soldiers. As pre-flight checks commenced, Zara began sharing crucial information about Ulian technology and base layouts, drawing from the vast knowledge she'd gained during her neural link with Jesse. The launch was smooth and silent, the Nighthawk slipping into space with barely a whisper. As Earth shrank behind them, the reality of their mission began to sink in. "We're picking up the Ulian base on long-range sensors," the pilot announced after several hours of tense silence. As they approached the lunar surface, an unexpected challenge arose. The base was surrounded by a shimmering energy shield, invisible to the naked eye, but glaringly obvious on their sensors. "That wasn't in our intel," Blackwood growled, frustration evident in his voice. Zara's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. The shield generators, they must be calibrated to Ulian biosignatures. She turned to Jesse, her mind racing. Our unique physiologies might be the key. If we combine my Ulian DNA with your pheromones, we could create an energy signature capable of destabilizing the shield. Jesse nodded, understanding flowing through their mental link. What do we need to do? We'll need to work together in the airlock, Zara explained, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. It will require close physical contact and heightened emotional states. As they made their way to the airlock, Jesse felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. The small space forced them close together, their bodies nearly touching. Focus on our connection, Zara whispered, her breath warm against his cheek. Jesse closed his eyes, concentrating on the bond they shared. He felt Zara's heartbeat quicken, matching his own. Their skin began to tingle as their unique biochemistries interacted, creating a subtle electric charge in the air. The ship's sensors beeped urgently. We're detecting a fluctuation in the shield, the pilot called out. Now's our chance, Blackwood ordered. Take us in. The Nighthawks swooped toward the lunar surface, slipping through the weakened section of the shield. They touched down near a maintenance airlock, the team moving swiftly to secure the area. Inside the base, they faced a maze of corridors filled with Ulian security forces. Jesse's modified pheromones proved invaluable, disorienting many of the soldiers and allowing the team to advance deeper into the facility. As they approached the central command center, they encountered a group of female Ulian scientists huddled around a complex array of equipment. Jesse overheard snippets of their conversation, his blood running cold as he realized the nature of their work. They're developing a virus, he whispered to Zara and Blackwood. Something designed to target the genetic marker responsible for my pheromone production in humans. Zara's eyes widened in horror. If they succeed, it would render Earth's most effective defense against us useless. Before they could decide on a course of action, a deep, menacing voice echoed through the lab. Intruders! How dare you violate our sanctuary? Admiral Vexer strode into view, his imposing frame enhanced by cybernetic implants. His eyes locked onto Jesse, narrowing with hatred. You, he snarled, the human aberration who dares to manipulate our biology? Without warning, Vexer lunged at Jesse, his cybernetic limbs giving him incredible speed and strength. Jesse barely managed to dodge the first blow, feeling the rush of air as Vexer's fist sailed past his head. The lab erupted into chaos. Zara and the human soldiers engaged Vexer's personal guard, while Jesse found himself locked in a desperate hand-to-hand battle with the Admiral. As the fight intensified, Jesse's heart raced, his body producing an abundance of pheromones. The effect on the surrounding Ulians was immediate and dramatic. The female scientists turned on Vexer, their aggression now directed towards the Admiral. Vexer himself began to show signs of disorientation, his movements becoming less coordinated. Taking advantage of the confusion, Zara dashed to the main computer terminal. Her fingers flew across the alien interface as she downloaded critical data about the bioweapon research in Vexer's invasion plans. I'm triggering a base-wide alert, she called out, claiming there's a human virus contamination. It should buy us some time. Alarms blared throughout the facility as panicked Ulian soldiers began to evacuate. Jesse broke free from his grapple with the disoriented Vexer, regrouping with Zara and the strike team. We need to move now, Blackwood shouted over the din. As they fought their way back to the Nighthawk, explosions rocked the base. Vexer had triggered the self-destruct sequence in a last-ditch effort to prevent the humans from escaping with Ulian secrets. They launched just as the lunar base began to crumble, debris floating in the low gravity. But their ordeal was not nearly finished. A sleek Ulian shuttle burst from the collapsing structure, giving chase. It's Vexer, Zara exclaimed, recognizing the unique energy signature of the Admiral's personal craft. As they raced towards Earth, a tense space battle ensued. Jesse and Zara worked in perfect synchronization, operating the Nighthawk's weapon systems while the pilot executed evasive maneuvers. Plasma bolts sizzled past their hull as Vexer's shuttle closed in. A lucky shot grazed their engines, causing alarms to blare throughout the cockpit. "We're losing power," the pilot shouted. "We'll burn up on re-entry if we can't shake 'em." Jesse gritted his teeth, his mind racing as he searched for a solution. Through his link with Zara, he sensed her fear, but also her unwavering commitment. As Earth loomed larger in their view screen, he knew they were racing not just for their own survival, but for the fate of both their species. The Nighthawk shuddered as it hit the upper atmosphere, trailing fire as it plummeted towards the planet below. Vexor's shuttle stayed tight on their tail, relentless in its pursuit. With their systems failing and a ruthless enemy at their backs, Jesse and Zara faced their greatest challenge yet. The final leg of their desperate mission had only just begun. The Nighthawk shuddered violently as it plunged through Earth's atmosphere, a trail of fire streaking behind it. Inside the cockpit, alarms blared incessantly, warning of multiple system failures. "We've lost primary heat shielding," the pilot shouted, his hands dancing across the controls. "Temperatures rising fast." Jesse gritted his teeth, his mind racing. He could feel the sweat beating on his forehead, both from the rising heat and the intensity of the situation. "I'm taking manual control," he announced, drawing on his years of SEAL training. As Jesse grasped the controls, Zara moved swiftly to an auxiliary panel. "I'll try to reroute power to the failing systems," she said, her luminescent skin pulsing with concentration. The ship lurched as Jesse executed a series of evasive maneuvers, trying to shake off Vexor's relentless pursuit. Plasma bolts from the Admiral's ship sizzled past, narrowly missing them. Suddenly, a loud hiss filled the cabin, followed by a sweet, musky scent. Zara's eyes widened in surprise. "I've accidentally triggered a release of your stored pheromones," she exclaimed. Jesse glanced back, seeing a visible trail of the pheromone mist streaming behind their ship. Through the view screen, he watched as Vexor's ship suddenly veered off course, its pilot momentarily disoriented by the potent chemical. "That bought us some time, Josum," Jesse said, seizing the opportunity. He angled the Nighthawk towards the blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean, aiming for the chain of Hawaiian islands visible in the distance. The ship's communication system crackled to life, General Blackwood's voice barely audible through the static. "Naval Recovery Team en route to your position. Be advised, alien forces converging on the area. Good luck." Jesse exchanged a determined look with Zara. "Brace for impact." The Nighthawk hit the ocean surface hard, skipping across the waves like a stone before coming to a jolting stop. Water immediately began to seep through the damaged hull, quickly flooding the lower decks. "Everyone out," Jesse shouted, helping Zara gather the crucial data they'd retrieved from the lunar base. The surviving members of the strike team scrambled to collect essential equipment as they made their way to the emergency hatches. As they emerged from the sinking ship, treading water in the choppy seas, a menacing sight greeted them. Vexor's ship touched down on the water's surface nearby, its sleek form barely disturbing the waves. The hatch opened, revealing the cybernetically enhanced Admiral. Vexor's body had clearly undergone further modifications. His skin gleamed with a metallic sheen, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural light. He raised an arm, revealing a built-in energy weapon that began to charge with a high-pitched whine. "Jesse, the pheromones," Zara called out, her voice urgent. Understanding flowed through their mental link. Together, they focused on their unique physiological bond, creating a localized pheromone cloud in the water around them. The effect was almost immediate. The surface of the ocean began to churn as a school of large, silvery fish emerged from the depths. Their eyes were wild, driven into a frenzy by the concentrated pheromones. As one, they turned towards Vexor and his ship, their powerful bodies launching out of the water in a furious assault. Vexor roared in frustration as the frenzied fish battered his ship and snapped at his cybernetic limbs. The distraction gave Jesse, Zara, and the strike team the opportunity they needed. "There!" Jesse pointed towards a small rocky island visible in the distance. "Swim for it!" The group struck out for the shore, their strokes strong and purposeful despite their exhaustion. Behind them, they could hear Vexor's enraged shouts and the sound of energy weapons firing at the marine life attacking his position. As they neared the island, Jesse noticed something odd about the shoreline. "Look there, one array," he said to Zara, indicating a section of the rocky beach that seemed slightly out of place. Upon reaching the shore, they discovered a cleverly disguised entrance set into the rock face. "A hidden facility," Zara breathed, her eyes wide with surprise. Before they could investigate further, the entrance slid open, revealing a familiar face. "Dr. Brown!" Jesse exclaimed, shock evident in his voice. The scientist quickly ushered them inside. "Hurry! We don't have much time." As the group entered the hidden base, alarms began to sound. Through a nearby view screen, they could see Vexor's ship approaching the island, having finally shaken off the pheromone-induced fish attack. "This way," Dr. Brown said urgently, leading them deeper into the facility. "We've made a breakthrough that could change everything, but we need your help." Jesse and Zara exchanged a look, their shared consciousness buzzing with a mix of hope and apprehension. As they followed Dr. Brown into a secure lab, they knew that the next few moments could determine the fate of both their species. The final confrontation with Vexor loomed, but so did the possibility of a solution to the conflict that had brought them all to this point. As Dr. Brown led them deeper into the facility, the gravity of their situation became clear. The hidden lab was a hive of activity, scientists working frantically at various stations. "We've been developing an experimental teleportation device," Dr. Brown explained, gesturing to a large circular platform surrounded by complex machinery. "It's our last hope to get you and the data out of here safely." Jesse and Zara exchanged a glance, their shared consciousness buzzing with a mixture of hope and apprehension. The risks were evident, but so were the potential benefits. "We'll do it," Jesse said firmly, his hand finding Zara's. Dr. Brown nodded, relief evident on his face. "I'll calibrate it for your unique physiology. It's never been tested on a human-alien pair before, but it's our best shot." As the scientist worked, alarms blared throughout the facility. Vexor's forces had breached the outer defenses. "They're getting closer," Zara said, her luminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. Jesse squeezed her hand. "We're in this together." The teleportation platform hummed to life, a shimmering energy field forming above it. Dr. Brown looked up from the control panel. "It's ready. You need to maintain physical contact for the process to work correctly." Jesse and Zara stepped onto the platform, their bodies intertwined. The energy field intensified around them, tingling against their skin. Suddenly, the lab door burst open. Admiral Vexor stood in the threshold, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming menacingly. "Now!" Dr. Brown shouted, slamming his hand down on the activation switch. The world around Jesse and Zara dissolved into a swirl of light and energy. They felt their bodies begin to disassemble at a molecular level, and sensation both exhilarating and terrifying. Without warning, the energy field surrounding them surged. Their bodies, already in a state of molecular flux, began to merge at a cellular level. Jesse felt Zara's consciousness flood into his own, their minds becoming as entangled as their physical forms. The process completed in a blinding flash. When the light faded, Jesse and Zara found themselves in a sterile white room, surrounded by startled medical personnel. A sign on the wall identified their location as a United Nations facility in Geneva, Switzerland. But something was different, very different. Jesse tried to step forward, but his movements felt strange, uncoordinated. He looked down at his body and gasped. Where there had once been two distinct forms, there was now a single entity. Human skin blended seamlessly into Ulian bioluminescence. Extra limbs and unfamiliar organs jutted at odd angles. "Zara," Jesse called out, his voice a strange mixture of human and Ulian tones. "I'm here," Zara's voice echoed in his mind. "But we're also not here. Not separately, at least." A team of doctors cautiously approached, led by a man who introduced himself as Dr. Akira Tanaka. "Fascinating," he murmured, circling the hybrid entity. "It appears the teleportation process has fused you at a cellular level." As the medical team began their examination, Jesse and Zara struggled to make sense of their new shared existence. Their senses seemed heightened, every touch and smell more vivid than before. They could feel new abilities awakening within them, their shared form pulsing with untapped potential. Through their mental link, memories and experiences flowed freely between them. Jessie saw glimpses of Zara's childhood on her home world, felt the weight of her species' desperation. Zara, in turn, experienced Jessie's life on Earth, his training as a SEAL, his hopes and fears for humanity's future. Your DNA has combined in ways we've never seen before, Dr. Tanaka explained, reviewing a holographic display of their genetic structure. It appears to have enhanced your existing abilities and created new ones. Your pheromone production, for instance, has been amplified and altered. Initial tests suggest it now affects male and female Ulians equally, without the extreme reactions we've seen in the past. As Jessie and Zara absorbed this information, they became aware of a commotion outside the examination room. Through the door, they could hear raised voices and the sound of hurried footsteps. Dr. Tanaka's communication device buzzed. He listened intently, his expression growing grave. It seems news of your transformation has spread quickly. Both Earth's leaders and the Ulian High Command are demanding information, and there are reports of attacks by human supremacist groups against Ulian positions on Earth. Jessie and Zara felt a surge of shared commitment. Their unique state offered a potential solution to the conflict between their species, but it also presented new challenges. As they prepared to face the world outside, they knew that the true test of their newfound unity was just beginning. Their hybrid form moved towards the door, each step becoming more coordinated as they learned to work as one. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, a living bridge between two worlds, carrying the hope for peace within their very cells. The hybrid entity of Jessie and Zara stepped through the door, their movements becoming more fluid with each passing moment. As they entered the corridor, they were immediately surrounded by a team of medical personnel and security officers, all wearing expressions of awe and trepidation. Dr. Akira Tanaka approached them, his eyes wide with scientific curiosity. "We need to move you to a more secure facility," he said, his voice calm but urgent. "Please follow me." As they made their way through the United Nations complex, Jessie and Zara's shared consciousness buzzed with a mixture of confusion and excitement. Their new form felt alien, yet familiar, a perfect blend of their individual strengths. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Tanaka asked as they entered a high-security elevator. The hybrid entity spoke, their voice a harmonious blend of Jessie's baritone and Zara's melodic tones. "We are adjusting. It's unlike anything we've experienced before." The elevator descended deep below the surface, finally opening into a state-of-the-art medical facility. The walls were lined with advanced equipment, much of it clearly designed for xenobiological research. "Welcome to our specialized xenobiology wing," Dr. Tanaka said, guiding them to a large examination room. "We'll need to run a series of tests to understand the full extent of your fusion." Over the next few hours, the hybrid entity underwent a battery of examinations. They were scanned, prodded, and analyzed from every conceivable angle. Throughout the process, Jessie and Zara's shared consciousness marveled at the new sensations they were experiencing. During a strength test, they effortlessly lifted a weight that would have challenged even the strongest human or Ulian. Their reflexes proved to be off the charts, reacting to stimuli faster than the testing equipment could measure. But it was during a routine cellular analysis that they made a startling discovery. As Dr. Tanaka was explaining the results, the hybrid entity felt a strange sensation, as if their very atoms were vibrating at a different frequency. Suddenly, their form began to shimmer and split. In a matter of seconds, Jessie and Zara found themselves standing side by side, separate once again. "Incredible," Dr. Tanaka breathed, quickly scanning them with a handheld device. "It seems you can temporarily separate your forms." Jessie flexed his fingers, marveling at the sensation of being in his own body again. "This is strange," he said, looking at Zara. "I can still feel you, but it's different." Zara nodded, her luminescent skin pulsing with excitement. "Yes, it's like an echo of our merged consciousness." As they explored this new ability, they noticed a growing discomfort. The longer they remained separated, the weaker they felt. After about 10 minutes, the discomfort became overwhelming. "We need to merge again," Zara said urgently. Jessie reached out, taking her hand. The moment they touched, their bodies began to fuse once more. The process was swift and intense, leaving them breathless as they settled back into their hybrid form. Dr. Tanaka watched in fascination. This ability could be crucial for your interactions with both humans and aliens, he said, making notes on his tablet. But it seems there are limitations on how long you can remain separated. As the day progressed, news of their transformation spread like wildfire. The hybrid entity could sense the growing tension outside the facility. Through the complex's communication systems, they caught glimpses of the global reaction. Some hailed them as a symbol of unity, while others decried them as an abomination. Late in the evening, Dr. Tanaka approached them with a serious expression. The United Nations Security Council has called an emergency session to discuss your situation, he explained. They're divided on how to proceed. Some see you as a threat, others as an opportunity for unprecedented cooperation between humans and aliens. The hybrid entity nodded, understanding the weight of their existence. What can we do? They asked. Dr. Tanaka hesitated for a moment. The council has requested a public demonstration of your abilities. They believe it might help sway public opinion and foster support for human-alien cooperation. As they considered this proposal, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Security personnel rushed past the examination room, their weapons drawn. What's happening? The hybrid entity asked, tensing for action. Before Dr. Tanaka could respond, the door burst open. A team of Ulian soldiers, their bodies shimmering with advanced cloaking technology, stormed into the room. At their head was a familiar face, Commander Krell. Secure the hybrid, Krell ordered, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and fascination. The Ulian soldiers raised their weapons, preparing to fire. In that moment, the hybrid entity felt a surge of power unlike anything they had experienced before. Their body began to glow with an intense pulsating light. Energy radiated from them in waves, disrupting the Ulians' cloaking technology and weapons. The soldiers stumbled back, momentarily blinded by the brilliant display. In the chaos, Dr. Tanaka moved to protect the hybrid entity. One of the Ulian soldiers, disoriented and panicked, fired his weapon. The energy blast caught the doctor in the chest, sending him crashing to the floor. The sight of Dr. Tanaka's fallen form triggered something deep within the hybrid entity. Their glow intensified, becoming almost unbearable to look at. With a thought, they extended their hand towards the injured doctor, channeling the energy flowing through them. Before everyone's astonished eyes, Dr. Tanaka's wound began to close. Within seconds, he gasped and sat up, completely healed. Commander Krell, realizing the situation was beyond his control, barked an order to retreat. The Ulian soldiers scrambled to obey, fleeing the room as quickly as they had entered. As the glow faded, the hybrid entity helped Dr. Tanaka to his feet. The doctor stared at them in wonder, his hand unconsciously moving to his now-healed chest. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice filled with awe and gratitude. The hybrid entity nodded, still processing the extent of their new abilities. They turned to face the door, where a group of stunned UN security personnel had gathered. "I think," the hybrid entity said, their voice resonating with newfound purpose, "we're ready for that public demonstration now." The hybrid entity's offer to participate in a public demonstration was quickly overshadowed by the urgent need to understand and harness their newfound abilities. Dr. Tanaka, still marveling at his miraculous recovery, wasted no time in assembling a joint human-Ulian research team to study the unprecedented fusion of Jesse and Zara. The following weeks were a whirlwind of tests and experiments. The hybrid entity underwent countless scans, physical examinations, and controlled trials of their abilities. They demonstrated their enhanced strength, reflexes, and healing powers under carefully monitored conditions. During one particularly intensive session, the research team pushed the limits of the hybrid's energy manipulation abilities. As they channeled an unprecedented amount of power, something unexpected occurred. The hybrid's form began to shimmer and distort, their energy field fluctuating wildly. "Containment breach," Dr. Tanaka shouted, rushing to activate emergency protocols. But before anyone could react, a blinding flash filled the room. When the light faded, Jesse and Zara found themselves forcibly separated, each sprawled on opposite sides of the laboratory. "Jesse," Zara called out, her voice tinged with panic and confusion. "I'm here," Jesse responded, slowly pushing himself to his feet. "Are you okay?" As they regained their bearings, both Jesse and Zara noticed something odd. Jesse's skin now had a faint, bioluminescent sheen, while Zara's typically smooth Ullian features showed subtle human characteristics. Dr. Tanaka approached cautiously, scanner in hand. "Fascinating," he murmured. "It appears the separation has left you with some of each other's traits. How do you feel?" Jesse flexed his fingers, watching the play of light beneath his skin. "Different. Stronger, I think, but also incomplete." Zara nodded in agreement. "There's an emptiness where our shared consciousness used to be, and I feel drawn to Jesse in a way I can't explain." As they spoke, their bodies seemed to react to each other's presence. The air between them shimmered with scarcely controlled energy, and both felt an intense, almost magnetic pull towards one another. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened as he observed the readings on his scanner. "Your pheromone production has increased exponentially," he explained, "and it seems to be affecting both humans and Ullians in the vicinity." True to his words, the research team members in the room appeared flushed and agitated. Some reported heightened sensory perception, while others complained of racing hearts and shortness of breath. Jesse and Zara locked eyes, the intensity of their connection palpable to everyone present. The air crackled with energy as they took a step towards each other. "Wait, Dr. Tanaka interjected, his scientific curiosity overriding his usual caution. "This presents a unique opportunity for study. If you're willing, I propose we create a controlled environment to explore the effects of your intimate interactions on your physiology in the surrounding area." The suggestion sent a ripple of shock and excitement through the research team. Some voiced immediate concerns about the ethics of such an experiment, while others argued passionately for the potential scientific breakthroughs. As the debate raged on, a new face entered the laboratory. General Elena Vasquez, recently appointed by the UN Security Council to oversee the research initiative, surveyed the scene with a critical eye. "Dr. Tanaka," she addressed the lead scientist, her voice carrying the weight of authority, "I need a full briefing on this situation immediately, and I want increased security measures implemented throughout the facility." While General Vasquez conferred with Dr. Tanaka, Jesse and Zara found themselves drawn into a quiet corner of the lab. The energy between them continued to build, making it difficult to focus on anything else. "What's happening to us?" Zara whispered, her hand unconsciously reaching for Jesse's. The moment their fingers touched, a visible spark jumped between them. Both gasped at the intensity of the sensation. "I don't know," Jesse replied, his voice husky, "but I've never felt anything like this before." Their moment of connection was interrupted by a series of alarms blaring throughout the facility. General Vasquez barked orders into her comm unit as technicians scrambled to identify the source of the malfunction. "We've got multiple systems failures across the board," one of the techs reported, "and there's been a breach in our secure data network." As chaos erupted around them, Jesse and Zara found it increasingly difficult to resist the pull between them. Their bodies began to glow faintly, the energy field around them intensifying. Dr. Tanaka noticed their predicament and quickly ushered them towards a specially designed containment chamber. "We need to get you both stabilized," he explained hurriedly. "This chamber should help channel and study the energy you're producing." As Jesse and Zara entered the chamber, neither of them noticed the satisfied smirk on the face of one of the Ullian scientists, observing from the sidelines. Commander Krell, his disguise flawless, watched as the doors sealed behind the separated pair. His plan was unfolding perfectly. Inside the chamber, Jesse and Zara found themselves alone, surrounded by advanced sensors and energy dampeners. The air was thick with tension and unspoken desire. "Jesse," Zara breathed, her luminescent skin pulsing with scarcely controlled energy. "I don't think I can hold back much longer." Jesse nodded, feeling the same overwhelming urge. "Then let's not fight it," he said, pulling her close. As their lips met, a surge of power unlike anything they had experienced before coursed through them. The sensors in the chamber lit up like a Christmas tree, recording unprecedented levels of bioelectric activity and pheromone production. Outside, the research team watched in awe as the chamber glowed with increasing intensity. But amidst the scientific excitement, no one noticed Commander Krell quietly activating a hidden device, its purpose yet to be revealed. As Jesse and Zara's passion reached its peak, the energy within the chamber began to spiral out of control. The containment systems, compromised by Krell's device, failed to dampen the growing power. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened in horror as he realized what was about to happen. "Evacuate the lab," he shouted. "It's going to—" His words were cut off by a deafening explosion that rocked the entire facility, plunging everything into chaos and darkness. Darkness. The shockwave rippled through the facility, knocking everyone off their feet and showering them with debris. As the dust settled, the hybrid entity emerged from the ruins of the containment chamber, their forms shimmering with residual energy. The explosion had forcibly separated Jesse and Zara once again, but this time, the effects were more pronounced. Jesse stumbled forward, his skin now permanently aglow with a soft, bioluminescent light. Zara followed close behind, her typically smooth alien features now bearing unmistakably human characteristics. They reached for each other instinctively, their hands intertwining as they surveyed the damage around them. Dr. Tanaka coughed and pushed himself up from the floor, his eyes widening as he took in the transformed appearances of Jesse and Zara. "Are you both all right?" he asked, his voice hoarse from the dust. Before they could respond, General Elena Vasquez burst into the room, flanked by a team of security personnel. Her sharp eyes quickly assessed the situation, lingering on Jesse and Zara's altered forms. "A report, Dr. Tanaka," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos of alarms and panicked shouts. As Dr. Tanaka briefed the general on the incident, Jesse and Zara found themselves drawn to the epicenter of the explosion. The air crackled with residual energy, and they felt a familiar pull towards each other. "We need to help," Jesse said, his voice filled with drive. Zara nodded in agreement, and together they began to channel their enhanced abilities. The hybrid entity's amplified powers proved invaluable in the aftermath of the explosion. Jesse's newfound energy manipulation skills allowed him to contain small fires that had broken out, while Zara's heightened telepathic abilities helped locate survivors trapped beneath the rubble. As they worked tirelessly to assist in the recovery efforts, their actions drew a mix of awe and trepidation from those around them. Security personnel watched warily as Jesse extinguished flames with a wave of his hand, while medical staff marveled at Zara's ability to soothe injured colleagues with a mere touch. General Vasquez observed their efforts with a critical eye, her expression unreadable. After a hushed conversation with her advisors, she approached Dr. Tanaka. "Doctor, I'm implementing a new containment protocol," she stated firmly. "We need a specialized holding area to neutralize their abilities if necessary. The potential danger they pose cannot be ignored." Dr. Tanaka's face contorted with disbelief. "General, with all due respect, they're helping us. This is an overreach of military authority. We need to study and understand their abilities, not contain them like some threat." Their argument was cut short as Jesse and Zara suddenly staggered, their forms flickering. In a flash of light, they separated once again, each gasping for breath. "What's happening to us?" Zara asked, her voice trembling. Dr. Tanaka rushed to their side, scanner in hand. "The experiment seems to have destabilized your fusion. You're experiencing involuntary separations, and they appear to be lasting longer each time." As the doctor examined them, neither Jesse nor Zara noticed the satisfied smirk on the face of one of the Ulian scientists observing from the sidelines. Commander Krell, still perfectly disguised, watched the unfolding scene with growing anticipation. Over the next few days, as construction began on General Vasquez's containment area, Dr. Tanaka worked tirelessly with Jesse and Zara. He devised a series of exercises aimed at helping them control their fusion and separation. "Focus on synchronizing your bioelectric fields," Dr. Tanaka instructed, as Jesse and Zara stood facing each other in the makeshift training room. "Visualize your energies merging, becoming one." The process was grueling. Intense physical exertion, followed by deep meditation, left both Jesse and Zara exhausted and emotionally raw. Each successful fusion was shorter than the last, and the involuntary separations grew more frequent. As Jesse and Zara struggled to maintain their hybrid form, Commander Krell set his plan in motion. Under the cover of the ongoing recovery efforts, he gathered his team of loyal Ulian operatives who had infiltrated various positions within the facility. "Disable the security systems," Krell ordered, his voice low and urgent. "Create blind spots in the surveillance and take out the alarm triggers. We move tonight." That evening, as Jesse and Zara prepared for another training session, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The lights flickered and died, plunging the complex into darkness. "What's going on?" Jesse shouted over the chaos. Before anyone could respond, a series of localized electromagnetic pulses ripped through the facility, disabling communications and security systems in key areas. In the ensuing confusion, Krell's operatives struck. Two teams moved swiftly through the darkened corridors. One group, armed with specialized restraints, targeted Jesse. The other, equipped with a neural disruptor, went after Zara. Jesse fought back fiercely, his bioluminescent skin providing an eerie glow in the darkness. He managed to incapacitate several of Krell's men before they finally subdued him with the pheromone-suppressing restraints. Zara, her telepathic abilities scrambled by the neural disruptor, found herself cornered and outnumbered. She lashed out with her newly acquired human strength, but it wasn't enough to overcome her attackers. As Krell's teams began to extract their captured prizes, Dr. Tanaka emerged from his lab, his face pale with willpower. He had heard the commotion and guessed at its source. Moving swiftly through the chaos, he managed to intercept Jesse's captors. "This way," he shouted, using a fire extinguisher to create a smokescreen. In the confusion, he freed Jesse from his restraints and led him toward the secure laboratory where he had been developing a device to stabilize their fusion. They found Zara en route, having momentarily broken free from her captors. Together, the three of them barricaded themselves in the lab just as Krell's forces closed in. "We need to merge," Jesse said, looking at Zara. "It's our only chance." Dr. Tanaka nodded grimly, gesturing towards the experimental device he had been working on. "This should help stabilize the fusion, but I warn you, it hasn't been fully tested. The process could be intense." As the sound of Krell's team attempting to breach the laboratory doors filled the air, Jesse and Zara stepped onto the device's platform. Dr. Tanaka activated the machine, and arcs of energy began to crackle around the pair. Jesse and Zara cried out in pain as their bodies struggled to synchronize. The air around them shimmered with power, growing more intense with each passing second. Just as the laboratory doors burst open, there was a blinding flash of light. Where Jesse and Zara had stood, the hybrid entity now towered, its form pulsing with unprecedented power. A wave of energy radiated outward, overloading Krell's weapons and disrupting his neural inhibitors. Commander Krell, his disguise now shed, stepped into the lab. His eyes widened at the sight of the hybrid entity, but his face quickly hardened with grit. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, ominous-looking device. "This ends now," Krell growled, his finger hovering over the device's activation switch. "Surrender, or I'll detonate this bomb and take the entire facility with us." The hybrid entity's eyes narrowed, assessing the threat. They raised their hands, energy crackling between their palms as they began to focus their abilities. As the standoff intensified, the fate of everyone in the facility hung in the balance, with the next move promising to alter the course of human-alien relations forever. The hybrid entity's eyes locked onto Krell's finger, hovering dangerously close to the detonator. Time seemed to slow as they assessed the situation, their enhanced senses taking in every detail of the room. In that fraction of a second, they made their decision. Focusing their amplified energy manipulation abilities, the hybrid entity thrust their hands forward. A shimmering, translucent bubble materialized around Krell and his explosive device, expanding rapidly until it completely enveloped them both. Krell's eyes widened in shock as he found himself trapped. Realizing his plan was unraveling, he snarled and pressed the detonator. The bomb activated, but instead of the expected devastating explosion, the hybrid's containment field absorbed and dissipated the energy. The implosion created a brilliant flash of light within the bubble, causing a momentary surge of power that coursed through the hybrid entity. The sudden influx of energy destabilized their fusion. Their form began to flicker and shift, rapidly alternating between the merged state and the separate forms of Jesse and Zara. The hybrid entity stumbled, overwhelmed by the fluctuations. General Vasquez seized the opportunity. "Move in," she commanded, and her security team swarmed into the room. They swiftly apprehended Krell and his remaining operatives, who were still reeling from the failed detonation. Dr. Tanaka rushed to the hybrid side, his face etched with concern. "We need to stabilize you," he said urgently. "Follow me to the lab. I have a chamber that might help." Supporting the unstable hybrid, Dr. Tanaka guided them through the corridors to a nearby laboratory. The entity's form continued to fluctuate wildly, sending waves of discomfort through their body with each shift. Inside the lab, a large cylindrical chamber dominated the center of the room. Dr. Tanaka quickly activated its systems, causing the interior to hum with energy. "This experimental stabilization chamber should help synchronize your bioelectric patterns," he explained, ushering the hybrid inside. As the chamber's door sealed shut, Dr. Tanaka initiated the stabilization process. A carefully calibrated energy field enveloped the hybrid entity, its intensity gradually increasing. The hybrid's body tensed, their face contorting in pain, as the chamber worked to align their merged form. Suddenly, the lab's lights flickered and dimmed. Alarms blared throughout the facility as systems began to malfunction. The hybrid's energy emissions interfered with the building's power grid, causing sporadic blackouts and equipment failures. General Vasquez's voice crackled over the intercom. "Attention all personnel. We are initiating an emergency evacuation. All non-essential staff must leave the premises immediately. This is not a drill." Inside the chamber, the hybrid entity's form continued to shift and stabilize. Their body glowed with an intense, pulsating light as the process reached its peak. Dr. Tanaka watched anxiously, his fingers flying over the control panel as he made minute adjustments to the chamber's output. With a final surge of energy, the stabilization process completed. The chamber's door slid open, revealing a new form of the hybrid entity. Their appearance now perfectly blended Jesse and Zara's physical characteristics, creating a harmonious fusion of human and Ulian traits. The hybrid stepped out of the chamber, their movements fluid and controlled. They flexed their fingers, feeling the enhanced power coursing through their body. "Dr. Tanaka," they spoke, their voice a melodious blend of Jesse and Zara's tones. "Thank you. We feel whole." Before Dr. Tanaka could respond, the building shuddered violently. The strain of the stabilization process had taken its toll on the facility's infrastructure. Cracks appeared in the walls, and the sound of groaning metal filled the air. The hybrid's enhanced senses immediately detected the danger. They reached out with their energy manipulation abilities, reinforcing the failing structures around them. Streams of shimmering energy flowed from their hands, sealing cracks and stabilizing support beams. As they worked to secure the immediate area, the hybrid's perception expanded outward. Their eyes widened as they sensed a new threat approaching from above. "Dr. Tanaka," they said urgently, "we need to speak with General Vasquez. There's an Ulian battlecruiser in orbit, and it's preparing to attack." Dr. Tanaka's face paled. He quickly activated the communication system, relaying the hybrid's warning to General Vasquez. The general's response was immediate and decisive. "Understood. I'm contacting Earth's Defense Forces now. Dr. Tanaka, gather all crucial research data. We can't let it fall into enemy hands." The hybrid entity nodded, their commitment clear. "We'll handle the Ulian ship," they declared. Without waiting for a response, they moved swiftly through the facility, their body glowing with pulsating energy. Reaching the exit, the hybrid entity paused for a moment, taking in the chaos around them. Then with a burst of power, they launched themselves into the sky. As they ascended, their enhanced pheromone production left a trail of shimmering particles in their wake. High above the Earth's surface, Admiral Vexer stood on the bridge of his Ulian battlecruiser, watching the hybrid's ascent with a mixture of fascination and fear. "Prepare main weapons," he ordered, his voice tight with anticipation. "We must eliminate this abomination before it reaches us." But as the hybrid entity drew closer, their pheromone trail began to take effect. Female Ulian crew members suddenly felt a surge of primal instincts, while their male counterparts became disoriented and confused. The bridge erupted into chaos as the crew struggled to maintain control. Seizing the moment, the hybrid focused their energy into a precise beam, targeting the battlecruiser's main propulsion systems. The strike hit its mark with pinpoint accuracy, disabling the ship's engines and leaving it stranded in low Earth orbit. With the immediate threat neutralized, the hybrid turned their attention back to the research facility. As they began their descent, their enhanced senses picked up a new development. A fleet of ships, both human and Ulian, was approaching the area. Among them, they detected a familiar presence. Lyra, the leader of the Ulian resistance movement. The hybrid entity's mind raced as they considered the implications of this gathering force. They knew that the next few moments would be crucial in shaping the future of human-Ulian relations. As they touched down near the facility, where General Vasquez and Dr. Tanaka were coordinating the final stages of evacuation, the hybrid prepared themselves for the complex negotiations that lay ahead. The air crackled with tension as the first ships of the incoming fleet became visible on the horizon. The hybrid entity stood tall, their form radiating power and purpose. They knew that their actions in the coming moments would be pivotal in determining the course of interspecies relations and the fate of both humans and Ulians. With a deep breath, they stepped forward to meet the approaching forces, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a deep breath, they stepped forward to meet the approaching forces, ready to face whatever challenges lay before them. As the hybrid entity descended back to the research facility, the sky above erupted with activity. A diverse fleet of human and Ulian ships materialized on the horizon, their sleek forms cutting through the clouds. Among them, a vessel adorned with distinct Ulian resistance markings stood out. Lyra's ship. The hybrid's enhanced senses picked up the rising tension in the air, a palpable charge that threatened to ignite at any moment. They knew that their next actions would be crucial in preventing a potentially catastrophic conflict. Without hesitation, the hybrid entity channeled their energy manipulation abilities, projecting a shimmering, translucent dome around the entire research facility. The barrier expanded rapidly, encompassing a sizable area and creating a clearly defined neutral zone. General Vasquez, who had been coordinating the evacuation efforts, looked up in awe as the energy field solidified above them. "What are you doing?" she called out to the hybrid. "Creating a safe space for negotiations," the hybrid replied, their voice carrying a harmonious blend of Jesse and Zara's tones. "We need to bring all parties to the table if we're going to tenacity this peacefully." The general nodded, quickly grasping the strategy. She turned to Dr. Tanaka, who had just emerged from the facility with a secure data drive. "Doctor, we need to prepare a conference room, something secure and large enough to accommodate multiple delegations." As Vasquez and Tanaka hurried back into the building, the hybrid entity focused their attention on the approaching fleet. They projected their thoughts outward, utilizing Zara's telepathic abilities enhanced by their merged form. "This is a neutral zone," they broadcast to all ships within range. "We invite representatives from all factions to land and join us for peaceful negotiations. Your safety is guaranteed." The response was immediate. Several ships broke formation and began their descent, including Lyra's vessel. As they touched down outside the facility, the hybrid noticed a small, unmarked shuttle approaching rapidly from the east. The shuttle landed with precision, its hatch opening to reveal a distinguished-looking man in a crisp suit. He strode purposefully towards the hybrid, his eyes sharp and assessing. "Ambassador Brown Way," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "United Nations Security Council. I was dispatched as soon as we detected the Ulian fleet entering Earth's atmosphere." The hybrid clasped the ambassador's hand, noting the calm strength in his grip. "Your timing is impeccable, Ambassador. We were just about to begin negotiations." As they walked towards the facility entrance, the hybrid quickly briefed Ambassador Brown on recent events: Krell's attack, the neutralization of Admiral Vexer's battlecruiser, and the current standoff. Inside, they found General Vasquez, and Dr. Tanaka had transformed a large laboratory into a makeshift conference room. Tables and chairs had been arranged in a circular formation, with various monitoring equipment set up along the walls. As the delegates began to file in, a mix of human military officials, Ulian resistance members, and representatives from Admiral Vexer's crew, the hybrid entity subtly adjusted their pheromone output. The tense atmosphere in the room began to soften, replaced by a sense of cautious openness. Ambassador Brown took charge of the proceedings, his voice calm and authoritative. Ladies and gentlemen, we face a crucial moment in the history of both our species. Let us approach these talks with open minds and a genuine desire for peaceful resolution. Lyra, her silver eyes gleaming with intensity, stepped forward. Before we begin, there's something you all need to know. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room. The invasion of Earth was not sanctioned by the majority of Ulian society. It was the work of a small faction, led by Admiral Vexer, who kept our people in the dark about the true nature of our genetic crisis. Murmurs rippled through the gathered delegates. The hybrid entity, standing at the center of the room, could sense the mix of shock, disbelief, and anger emanating from various individuals. Ambassador Brown, his expression thoughtful, seized the moment. Perhaps this crisis presents an opportunity for both our species. He outlined his proposal for a joint human-alien scientific task force, emphasizing the potential benefits of controlled genetic integration. As discussions intensified, the hybrid entity found themselves at the center of attention. They demonstrated their enhanced abilities, showcasing the potential of human-alien fusion. I volunteer to undergo further study, the hybrid announced. Our merged form could serve as a template for future cooperation and advancement. The room erupted into a flurry of debate. Conservative voices from both sides raised concerns about genetic purity and the preservation of distinct species identities. The hybrids, sensing the rising tension, instinctively increased their calming pheromone output. General Vasquez, ever vigilant, noticed the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. Her eyes narrowed as she observed the suddenly more compliant behavior of some delegates. Discreetly, she signaled to one of her officers, who quietly activated a series of small devices around the room. Pheromone neutralizers. As the negotiations reached a critical juncture, the facility's alarms suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. Multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere, a technician announced, his voice tense. Trajectory suggests they originated from the disabled Ulian battlecruiser. The hybrid entity closed their eyes, extending their senses outward. After a moment, they spoke, their voice carrying a note of urgency. Escape pods. They contain a mix of Vexer's loyal supporters and crew members unaware of his true intentions. Ambassador Brown, his mind racing, saw an opportunity. We need a joint mission to intercept those pods, he declared. It's a chance to demonstrate our ability to work together. The hybrid nodded, stepping forward. I'll lead the mission. My abilities make me best suited to handle any potential conflicts. As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, with teams being assembled and strategies formulated, the hybrid entity felt a sudden internal surge. The separate consciousnesses of Jesse and Zara bubbled to the surface, each grappling with their individual identities and the implications of their merged existence. Energy crackled around the hybrid's form, drawing concerned looks from those nearby. Dr. Tanaka, observing the fluctuations, quickly approached. Are you all right? He asked, his voice low and worried. The hybrid took a deep breath, forcing the internal conflict aside. I'm fine, they assured him, though the slight tremor in their voice betrayed the ongoing struggle. We need to focus on the mission. As they moved toward the exit, ready to lead the interception team, the hybrid knew that the next few hours would be critical. The fate of human-alien relations hung in the balance, and they were at the center of it all. With a final glance back at the assembled delegates, the hybrid stepped out into the uncertain future that awaited them. As the hybrid entity stepped out into the uncertain future, they were immediately thrust into action. The facility's alarms continued to blare as they led a mixed team of human and Ulian forces towards the incoming escape pods. The hybrid's enhanced senses scanned the upper atmosphere, picking up faint energy signatures scattered across a wide area. The pods are dispersing, they announced, their voice carrying a mix of persistence and concern. We'll need to split up to cover more ground. Captain Marcus Holt, a human Special Forces commander, nodded in agreement. Understood. We'll divide into teams and follow your lead. As the retrieval operation began, the hybrid entity pushed their abilities to the limit, guiding the teams through the complex dance of Earth's upper atmosphere. The pods, crafted with advanced alien technology, proved incredibly elusive. There, the hybrid called out, detecting a cluster of pods attempting to regroup. They channeled their energy manipulation abilities, creating a containment field to corral the fleeing vessels. Suddenly, a sharp pain lanced through the hybrid's body. Their form flickered, Jesse and Zara's separate consciousnesses bubbling to the surface for a brief moment before recombining. Lyra, piloting a nearby interceptor, noticed the fluctuation. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. The hybrids steadied themselves, pushing aside the discomfort. "I'm fine," they assured her, though uncertainty tinged their words. "Let's focus on the mission." As they continued the pursuit, the hybrid found their perceptions shifting. Jesse's human instincts for adaptability merged seamlessly with Zara's alien intuition, allowing them to anticipate the pod's movements with uncanny accuracy. The team successfully retrieved several escape pods, but one vessel broke away from the group, its engines flaring with a burst of speed. The hybrid immediately recognized the energy signature. This pod carried a high-ranking Ulian officer loyal to Admiral Vexer. Without hesitation, the hybrid gave chase, pushing their abilities to the extreme. They projected a powerful containment field around the pod, straining to maintain control as the vessel fought against the energy grip. Back at the research facility, Dr. Tanaka monitored the situation with growing alarm. The hybrid's bio-readings were spiking dangerously, energy levels fluctuating wildly. He turned to General Vasquez, his face etched with worry. "We need to recall them immediately. Their merged form is becoming unstable." General Vasquez nodded grimly, activating the comlink. "Hybrid, this is General Vasquez. Your energy levels are critical. Disengage and return to base immediately." The hybrid heard the order but chose to ignore it. They were so close to securing the final pod, to completing their mission. With a surge of willpower, they pushed forward, channeling every ounce of their combined power into one last effort. The fleeing pod's propulsion system sputtered and died, caught in the hybrid's energy field, but the victory was short-lived. As the pod drifted to a stop, a massive energy surge ripped through the hybrid's body. In a blinding flash of light and power, the hybrid entity's form destabilized completely. Jesse and Zara found themselves suddenly separated, their individual bodies hurtling through the atmosphere in free fall. Panic gripped them both as they plummeted towards Earth. Acting on instinct, they reached out to each other, their fingers desperately seeking contact. As their hands clasped together, a familiar energy crackled between them. Their bodies began to merge once more, but not fully. Instead, they found themselves in a swirling, semi-fused state, a physical manifestation of their shared existence. This new form allowed them to control their descent, their combined abilities working in harmony to slow their fall. As they drifted back towards the research facility, Jesse and Zara marveled at their new state of being. They could feel each other's thoughts and emotions more clearly than ever before, yet they remained distinct individuals. It was an intimacy beyond anything they had experienced, even in their fully merged form. Landing gently outside the facility, they maintained physical contact, instinctively understanding that breaking apart would disrupt their delicate balance. Dr. Tanaka rushed to meet them, his eyes wide with a mix of concern and scientific curiosity. "Fascinating," he breathed, scanning their semi-merged form with a handheld device. "Your DNA is continuing to recombine in ways we've never seen before. This could be the key to solving the Ulian genetic crisis." As Dr. Tanaka led them to a specialized medical bay for further examination, Jesse and Zara became acutely aware of the heightened sensations coursing through their shared form. Every touch, every movement sent waves of pleasure and connection rippling between them. Ambassador Brown, who had been briefed on the situation, saw an opportunity in this development. He approached Jesse and Zara as Dr. Tanaka began his tests. "Your current state could be the perfect symbol of human-Ulian cooperation," he said, his mind already formulating diplomatic strategies. "A living example of the benefits of our two species working together." General Vasquez, however, viewed the situation with a more cautious eye. "We need to implement additional security measures," she insisted. "Their evolving abilities could pose unforeseen risks." As the debate over their future unfolded around them, Jesse and Zara found themselves lost in the intensity of their connection. The unique blend of human and alien pheromones their bodies now produced created an almost intoxicating attraction, not just between them, but affecting those in close proximity as well. Dr. Elena, the alien scientist rescued from one of the escape pods, interrupted the discussion with urgent news. Admiral Vexer has been working on a secret project, she revealed, her voice trembling. He planned to forcibly alter Yulian physiology using stolen human genetic material. If his loyalists complete this work, the consequences could be catastrophic for both our species. The revelation sent a shockwave through the room. The stakes had suddenly become much higher, and Jesse and Zara realized that their unique bond might be the key to preventing a disaster. As the facility erupted into a flurry of activity, with plans being made and teams assembled, Jesse and Zara exchanged a look of silent understanding. They were at the center of a pivotal moment in human-alien relations, their evolving connection holding the potential to shape the future of both species. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their merged existence a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. As Jesse and Zara stood united, their semi-merged form a testament to the potential of human-alien cooperation, Dr. Tanaka's eyes lit up with excitement. His handheld device beeped rapidly, displaying a cascade of data that made his heart race. "Incredible," he muttered, studying the readings. "Your DNA, it's continuing to recombine in ways we've never seen before. This could be the key to solving the Ulian genetic crisis." Ambassador Brown, ever the diplomat, saw an opportunity. He approached the couple, his mind already formulating plans. "We need to show the world what you can do," he said, his voice filled with purpose. "A public demonstration of your abilities could sway public opinion towards human-alien cooperation." Within hours, a specially constructed arena within the research facility was prepared. Jesse and Zara, still maintaining physical contact to preserve their semi-merged state, stood at its center. Cameras broadcasted the event globally and to alien ships in orbit, as a diverse audience of humans and Ulians filled the surrounding stands. The couple began their demonstration, their movements fluid and synchronized. They leapt impossibly high, their enhanced strength allowing them to perform feats that left the audience gasping. Energy crackled around their form as they manipulated the very air around them, creating swirling patterns of light and color. As their exertion increased, Jesse and Zara's bodies released a unique blend of pheromones. The scent wafted through the arena, eliciting a wave of positive emotions from the spectators. Humans and Ulians alike found themselves more open to the idea of cooperation, their initial reservations melting away. However, the pheromones had an unexpected effect on Jesse and Zara themselves. The attraction between them intensified, making it increasingly difficult to maintain their professional composure. Their movements became more sensual, their touches lingering longer than necessary. Suddenly, a surge of energy coursed through their semi-merged form. The audience watched in awe as their abilities seemed to magnify tenfold. Jesse and Zara rose into the air, their bodies glowing with an otherworldly light. But the surge came at a cost. Their fusion began to destabilize, their forms oscillating between fully merged and separated states. Gasps of shock rippled through the crowd as Jesse and Zara's bodies flickered and pulsed. Dr. Elena, watching from the sidelines, leaned forward, her eyes wide with recognition. "That energy pattern," she exclaimed, turning to Dr. Tanaka. "It matches a theoretical model from Admiral Vexor's secret project." Dr. Tanaka nodded, his mind racing. "We need to get them to the stabilization chamber immediately," he said, already moving towards the arena floor. As Jesse and Zara were ushered into the chamber, their bodies fully separated, but a visible energy field continued to connect them. Inside, they discovered a new ability, telepathic communication. Their thoughts flowed freely between them, allowing them to coordinate their actions with unprecedented precision. Outside the chamber, Captain Marcus Holt burst into the control room, his face grim. "We have a situation," he reported to General Vasquez. "Commander Zix and a group of Vexor loyalists have reactivated one of the captured escape pods. They've sent out a coded transmission." General Vasquez's eyes narrowed. "Lock down the facility immediately," she ordered, her voice sharp. As security forces mobilized, the energy field connecting Jesse and Zara began to expand, interfacing with the facility's systems. Their combined consciousness inadvertently tapped into the communications network, intercepting the coded transmission. The message revealed the existence of a hidden Ulian base on Mars, where Admiral Vexer had been conducting his most advanced genetic experiments. The implications were staggering. The base contained data and prototypes that could forcibly alter the genetics of both humans and aliens on a massive scale. Ambassador Brown quickly convened an emergency meeting. "We need to mount a joint mission to Mars," he declared, looking around the room at General Vasquez, Dr. Tanaka, and Lyra. "And Jesse and Zara's unique abilities will be crucial to its success." As preparations for the Mars mission began, Jesse and Zara emerged from the chamber, once again in their semi-merged state. However, they now exhibited greater control, able to shift between merged and separated forms at will. Dr. Tanaka expressed concern about the long-term effects of their constant transformations, but General Vasquez overruled him, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. The Joint Task Force boarded a specially modified spacecraft designed to accommodate both human and alien physiologies. As the ship launched, Jesse and Zara struggled to control the powerful surge of attraction between them, aware that their ability to switch between states could be crucial for the mission's success. As they broke through Earth's atmosphere, explosions rocked the research facility below. Security cameras showed Commander Zix and his loyalists fighting their way toward the data centers with salvaged alien weapons. The spacecraft accelerated towards Mars, leaving behind a chaotic situation on Earth. Jesse and Zara, their bodies humming with energy, gazed out at the stars. The success of their mission now held the key to preventing Admiral Vexer's plan and preserving the fragile peace between humans and aliens. As they journeyed through the vastness of space, they knew they would need to master their evolving abilities and navigate the complexities of their deepening bond if they hoped to face the unknown dangers awaiting them on the Red Planet. As they journeyed through the vastness of space, the spacecraft's engines hummed with a steady rhythm, carrying Jesse, Zara, and the Joint Task Force towards Mars. During the journey, Jesse and Zara found their semi-merged state increasingly difficult to control. Their bodies oscillated between separation and fusion at an alarming rate, creating a disorienting sensation that left them both physically and mentally exhausted. "Jesse, I don't know how much longer I can hold this," Zara gasped, her form flickering like a faulty hologram. Jesse reached out, his hand passing through Zara's arm before solidifying again. "We have to keep it together, just a little longer." Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled over the intercom, his tone permeated with concern. "Your physiological readings are becoming more erratic. If this instability continues, there could be permanent changes to your cellular structure." Captain Marcus Holt frowned, his eyes fixed on the red planet growing larger in the view screen. "We're approaching Mars orbit. Sensors are picking up—" "Wait, what's that?" A technician's fingers flew across a control panel. "Sir, we're detecting an unusual energy signature from the surface. It's similar to the frequency produced by Jesse and Zara's fusion." The revelation sent a ripple of tension through the crew. Ambassador Brown leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "It seems Admiral Vexer's experiments have progressed further than we anticipated." General Vasquez nodded grimly. "We need to split our forces. One team will investigate that energy signature, while the other locates and secures the hidden base." Jesse and Zara exchanged a look, their partially merged consciousness allowing for silent communication. They knew they had to be part of the team investigating the energy signature. It was too similar to their own to be a coincidence. As the spacecraft entered Mars orbit, a stealth shuttle detached from its underbelly. Jesse, Zara, Captain Holt, and a small team of human and alien specialists boarded the smaller craft, preparing for their descent to the Martian surface. The shuttle's interior was cramped, filled with the scent of recycled air and nervous anticipation. As they pierced the thin Martian atmosphere, the craft shuddered violently. "Interference from the energy signature," the pilot announced, his voice tight with concentration. It's affecting our systems. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the shuttle. Consoles sparked and screens flickered as system after system failed. "Brace for impact!" Captain Holt shouted as the shuttle plummeted toward the rust-colored landscape below. The craft skidded across the rocky Martian terrain, coming to a halt in a narrow valley surrounded by towering cliffs. As the dust settled, the team stumbled out, assessing the damage. The harsh Martian environment immediately took its toll on Jesse and Zara. The lower gravity and thin atmosphere caused their semi-merged form to fluctuate even more rapidly, their bodies splitting and rejoining in a dizzying display. "We need to get the shuttle operational," Captain Holt ordered, his voice muffled by his environment suit. "Jesse, Zara, stand guard while we work on repairs." As the team set about their tasks, Jesse and Zara struggled to maintain their composure. The constant shifting between states was becoming painful, each transition feeling like their very atoms were being torn apart and reassembled. Zara's eyes widened as she noticed something in the cliff face. "Jesse, look! There's some kind of opening." Hidden among the rocks was a seamless metal door, nearly invisible to the naked eye. Captain Holt approached, running a scanner over the surface. "It's definitely artificial," he confirmed. "This must be an entrance to Vexor's facility." The captain assembled a small scouting party, leaving Jesse and Zara to guard the shuttle due to their unstable condition. As the team disappeared into the hidden entrance, Jesse and Zara felt a strange resonance building within them. Without warning, the ground beneath the shuttle began to shift. Metal plates slid apart, revealing a massive hangar bay beneath. A powerful tractor beam activated, pulling the shuttle and its occupants into the facility's depths. As they descended, Jesse and Zara's unique energy signature triggered a cascade of systems within the base. Lights flickered to life, and the low hum of machinery filled the air. The shuttle came to rest on a smooth metal floor. As the team regained their bearings, they found themselves surrounded by a group of Ullian scientists, led by a stern-looking female with cybernetic enhancements. "I am Dr. Kira, Chief Geneticist for Admiral Vexor," she announced, her eyes fixed on Jesse and Zara's fluctuating form. "And you are the missing piece we've been searching for." Before anyone could react, Dr. Kira activated a containment field around Jesse and Zara, separating them from the rest of the group. The shimmering energy barrier had an immediate and unexpected effect on the couple. Their bodies, which had been in constant flux, suddenly stabilized. The merging process completed itself, leaving Jesse and Zara in a perfect blend of human and Ullian characteristics. They felt a surge of strength and mental clarity, but also a profound sense of loss. They could no longer separate into their individual forms. Dr. Kira's eyes gleamed with scientific fascination. "Incredible. You are the culmination of years of research and experimentation. The first successful human-Ullian hybrids." The sound of weapons fire echoed through the facility. Captain Holt's scouting party, having heard the commotion, was attempting to fight their way back to the hangar. In the chaos that ensued, Jesse and Zara made a startling discovery. Their stable fusion allowed them to interface directly with the facility's computer systems. With a shared thought, they deactivated the containment field and the base's defenses, giving their team the upper hand. As the task force gained control of the facility, they uncovered the true scope of Admiral Vexor's plan. The base housed hundreds of stasis pods containing failed hybrid experiments, a chilling testament to the lengths the Admiral had gone to create his super soldiers. But their victory was short-lived. The base's systems detected an incoming Ullian battlecruiser. Admiral Vexor himself was on his way. With their shuttle damaged and no immediate means of escape, the task force began preparing for a siege. Jesse and Zara, still coming to terms with their permanent fusion, realized that their unique abilities might be the key to defeating Vexor and bringing peace between humans and Ullians. As the battlecruiser entered Mars orbit, Jesse and Zara felt a strange connection to the ship's energy systems. Their hybrid form resonated with the incoming vessel, suggesting a deeper link to Vexor's experiments than they had imagined. The couple exchanged a determined look, their merged consciousness allowing for perfect understanding without words. They knew that the coming confrontation would shape the future of human-Ullian relations, and they were at the center of it all. As Admiral Vexer's forces began their descent towards the Martian surface, Jesse and Zara focused on mastering their new abilities. The fate of two species now rested on their shoulders, and they had precious little time to prepare for the battle ahead. As Admiral Vexer's battlecruiser entered Mars orbit, Jesse and Zara felt a sudden surge of energy course through their hybrid form. Their merged consciousness expanded, connecting with the ship's energy systems in an unexpected and profound way. "Captain Holt," Jesse Zara called out, their voice a harmonious blend of both individuals. "We're picking up communications from Vexer's ship. He's planning to bombard the base from orbit." Holt's eyes widened as he processed the information. "How is that possible? You shouldn't be able to intercept their transmissions from here." Dr. Kira stepped forward, her cybernetic enhancements glinting in the harsh light of the underground facility. "It's their hybrid form. It must be resonating with the battlecruiser's energy signature." As the task force scrambled to fortify their position, Dr. Kira revealed a crucial piece of information. There's a prototype defense system hidden within this base. It was designed to harness the energy of human-alien hybrids. "Can it stop Vexer's attack?" Holt asked, his voice tight with urgency. Dr. Kira nodded. "Potentially, yes, but it requires an enormous surge of hybrid energy to activate. Energy that only Jesse and Zara can provide in their current state." Before they could formulate a plan, the facility shook violently. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling as Vexer's initial bombardment struck the Martian surface above them. "We're out of time," Holt shouted over the rumbling. "Jesse, Zara, you need to get to that defense system now." As sections of the base began to collapse, Jesse and Zara navigated through crumbling corridors, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to dodge at falling debris. The journey was made more challenging by waves of intense attraction coursing through their merged form, a side effect of their fusion that threatened to overwhelm their focus. "We have to concentrate," Jesse's voice emerged from their shared mouth, strained with effort. "Yes," Zara's voice replied, equally tense. "Channel it into our abilities." They pushed forward, learning to harness their intimate connection as a source of power. Each surge of attraction became a burst of speed or strength, propelling them towards their goal. Meanwhile, Captain Holt led a team to secure the hangar bay. As they fought through the collapsing structure, they made a startling discovery. "Sir," a specialist called out, gesturing towards a row of sleek, alien-looking craft, "these appear to be experimental Ulian fighters." Holt's mind raced with possibilities. "If we can get these airborne, we might have a chance against Vexer's ship." As the task force prepared for a potential counterattack, Jesse Zara reached the central chamber housing the defense system. The sight that greeted them was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A massive, pulsating orb of energy suspended in the center of the room, surrounded by an intricate web of alien technology. Dr. Kira's voice crackled over their comms. "The system requires a direct neural interface with a hybrid being, but I must warn you, the process could overload your fused consciousness. There's a risk that you could lose your individual identities permanently." Jesse Zara froze, the gravity of the situation washing over them. Their merged mind raced through alternatives, but they knew there was no other choice. Time was running out, and the fate of everyone in the base, perhaps even the future of human-alien relations, hung in the balance. Their hybrid form embraced itself, a gesture of comfort and commitment. In that moment of connection, they realized that their unique bond, the love they shared, might be the key to surviving the interface process. "We're ready," they spoke in unison, stepping towards the pulsating orb. As Jesse Zara connected to the defense system, a massive surge of energy coursed through the base. Their consciousness expanded exponentially, touching every piece of technology in the facility. The sensation was overwhelming, a mix of pain and pleasure so intense it threatened to tear their merged form apart. Outside, a shimmering energy field enveloped the Martian base, deflecting Vexer's bombardment. The Admiral's enraged voice echoed through the intercepted communications as he ordered his forces to prepare for a ground assault. Inside the base, Jesse Zara's interface had an unexpected effect. The failed experiments in stasis pods throughout the facility began to activate, their hybrid forms stabilized by the energy field. Captain Holt and his team watched in amazement as these new allies emerged, ready to join the fight. As dropships descended from Vexor's battlecruiser, carrying augmented alien soldiers, the stage was set for a climactic battle. Jesse Zara remained at the heart of the defense system, their merged consciousness stretched to its limits, aware that their actions in the coming moments would shape the future of two species and the hybrid beings they had inadvertently awakened. Through their expanded awareness, Jesse Zara made a startling discovery about Admiral Vexor himself. The realization hit them like a physical blow, adding a new layer of complexity to the unfolding conflict. As they grappled with this newfound knowledge, they knew they had to find a way to reach Vexor, to negotiate an end to the battle before it was too late. The hybrid couple steeled themselves for what was to come, their merged form trembling with the strain of maintaining the defense system while preparing to extend their influence beyond the base's protective field. The fate of two worlds now rested in their hands, and the true test of their unique abilities was about to begin. The fate of two worlds now rested in their hands, and the true test of their unique abilities was about to unfold. As Jesse Zara's consciousness expanded beyond the confines of the Martian base, they felt a sudden, overwhelming connection to the battlecruiser looming above. Their merged mind reached out, probing the ship's energy systems, and in that moment, they made contact with Admiral Vexor himself. The telepathic link formed instantly, flooding Jesse Zara's mind with a torrent of images and sensations. They saw Vexor not as the fearsome leader of an invasion force, but as a being racked with pain and desperation. His hybrid form was unstable, deteriorating with each passing moment. "We understand now," Jesse Zara whispered, their voice a harmonious blend. "Vexor isn't just after power, he's searching for a cure." Captain Holt, who had been preparing to launch a counteroffensive with the newly discovered experimental fighters, looked at them in surprise. "A cure? For what?" "For himself," Jesse Zara explained, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "He's a failed hybrid, Captain, and we might be the key to saving him." Without hesitation, Jesse Zara made a decision that would alter the course of the conflict. "Hold off on the attack, Captain. We're going to try and negotiate." Before Holt could protest, Jesse Zara channeled their energy into creating a protective field around themselves. The shimmering barrier hummed with power as they made their way to the surface, leaving the safety of the underground facility behind. As they emerged onto the rust-colored Martian landscape, the sight of Jesse Zara's perfectly fused form triggered an immediate ceasefire from Vexor's forces. The constant barrage of weapons fire ceased, replaced by an eerie silence that stretched across the battlefield. High above, Admiral Vexor's personal shuttle detached from the battlecruiser, descending rapidly towards the surface. Jesse Zara stood their ground, their merged form radiating a powerful energy signature that pulsed in sync with their shared heartbeat. The shuttle touched down, kicking up a cloud of red Martian dust. As it settled, the hatch opened to reveal Admiral Vexor, flanked by a team of Ulian scientists. The contrast between Jesse Zara's stable fusion and Vexor's deteriorating form was stark and immediate. Vexor's body shuddered with almost unchecked energy, his features flickering between human and Ulian characteristics. His eyes, filled with a mix of pain and desperate hope, locked onto Jesse Zara. "How?" Vexor demanded, his voice hoarse and strained. "How have you achieved what my greatest scientist could not?" Jesse Zara stepped forward, their movements fluid and graceful. "It wasn't science that created our stable form, Admiral. It was something far more powerful. Our emotional bond." Vexor's expression twisted in confusion and disbelief. "Impossible. Emotion cannot overcome genetic incompatibility." "And yet here we stand," Jesse Zara countered, gesturing to their perfectly blended body. "We can help you, Admiral. But first you must end this conflict. Call off your forces and cease your campaign against Earth and the Ulian resistance." As Vexor considered their words, Dr. Kira emerged from the Martian base, clutching a data pad. She approached the group, her cybernetic enhancements scanning the environment constantly. "Admiral," Dr. Kira addressed Vexor, her tone respectful but firm, "I've analyzed the data from our research banks. there's a way to stabilize your condition using a combination of our hybrid technology and the unique energy signature produced by Jesse and Zara's fusion. Vexor's eyes widened, a flicker of hope crossing his face before being replaced by suspicion. And what's the catch, Doctor? You would need to submit to treatment under the supervision of both human and alien scientists, Dr. Kira explained. And you would have to relinquish control of your forces for the duration of the procedure. A tense silence fell over the group as Vexor weighed his options. Jesse Zara could sense the turmoil in his mind through their lingering telepathic connection, the struggle between his lust for power and his desire for survival. Finally, Vexor spoke, his voice heavy with resignation. Very well, I agree to your terms. With a series of quick commands, Vexor ordered his forces to stand down and granted access to his battlecruiser's medical bay. As the tension on the battlefield began to dissipate, Jesse Zara, Dr. Kira, and a team of specialists boarded Vexor's shuttle. The ascent to the battlecruiser was swift, and soon they found themselves in the ship's state-of-the-art medical bay. Jesse Zara marveled at the advanced Ulian technology surrounding them, their hybrid mind processing and understanding the complex systems with ease. As the stabilization process began, Jesse Zara positioned themselves at the center of a ring of energy emitters. Their fused form began to glow, channeling power into Vexor's unstable body. The Admiral lay on a medical platform, his form writhing as the energy worked to realign his hybrid physiology. Suddenly, an unexpected resonance formed between Jesse Zara and Vexor. Their minds linked, creating a three-way mental connection that none of them had anticipated. Through this bond, Vexor experienced the depth of Jesse and Zara's connection, their love, their trust, and the harmony of their merged consciousness. As the energy flowed between them, Jesse Zara felt their own hybrid form changing, evolving. Their senses sharpened beyond what they thought possible, and they discovered a new level of control over their physical appearance. With a mere thought, they could shift between more human-like and alien-like features. The intense energy exchange continued, pushing the limits of Jesse Zara's endurance. Just as they felt they couldn't maintain the connection any longer, alarms blared throughout the battlecruiser. Multiple ships approaching, an alien officer announced, his voice tense. It's a joint Earth-alien resistance fleet. Jesse Zara's eyes met Vexor's, understanding passing between them. The fragile peace they had brokered was now at risk. As they prepared to address this new challenge, Jesse Zara became aware of a strange sensation within their hybrid form, a sense of potential, of new life forming. With the fate of two species hanging in the balance and the mystery of their evolving biology unfolding, Jesse Zara knew that their greatest test was yet to come. They would need every ounce of their combined strength, wisdom, and newfound abilities to navigate the complex path ahead and secure a lasting peace between humans and aliens. Ulians. As Jesse Zara prepared to address the assembled forces, a sudden wave of heat coursed through their hybrid body. Their skin tingled with an unfamiliar sensation, and a sweet, musky scent began to emanate from their pores. What's happening? Jesse Zara asked, their dual voice infused with confusion. Dr. Kira's eyes widened as she checked her datapad. Your hybrid physiology is producing a potent pheromone. It's likely a result of the recent energy exchanges and your heightened emotional state. Before anyone could react, the pheromone spread rapidly through the battlecruiser's ventilation system. The effect was almost instantaneous. Vexor's newly stabilized form tensed, his nostrils flaring as he inhaled deeply. Dr. Kira stumbled, catching herself on a nearby console as a flush crept up her neck. Throughout the ship, both human and Ulian crew members began to exhibit signs of arousal and lowered inhibitions. An Ulian officer removed his uniform jacket, his skin glistening with sweat. Two human technicians locked eyes across the command center, their breathing quickening as they moved towards each other. Jesse Zara realized the gravity of the situation. We need to contain this, they said, attempting to suppress their pheromone production. But their efforts proved futile as their hybrid body continued to emit the intoxicating scent. Captain Holt's voice crackled over the comms. What's going on up there? We're detecting strange energy signatures from the ship. No time to explain? Jesse Zara responded, their mind racing. We need to act fast before the situation escalates further. With newfound perseverance, Jesse Zara approached the ship's communication array. Their hybrid abilities allowed them to interface directly with the technology, boosting the signal strength to unprecedented levels. Attention all forces, Jesse Zara began, their voice resonating with passion and urgency. This is Jesse Zara, the human-alien hybrid. We stand at a crucial moment in the history of our two species. As they spoke, their words carried an unintentional emotional charge, influenced by the pheromones coursing through their system. The message reached not only the approaching fleet, but also the forces on Mars and beyond. Admiral Vexor has been stabilized, and a path to peace between humans and Ulians is now possible. Our hybrid form is living proof of the potential that lies in cooperation and understanding between our species. On the Martian surface, the newly awakened hybrid beings from the stasis pods reacted strongly to Jesse Zara's broadcast. Their own hybrid physiologies resonated with the signal, accelerating their stabilization process and awakening a deeper sense of their dual nature. One of the hybrids, a tall figure with shimmering skin, turned to Captain Holt. We feel it, they said, their voice a melodious blend of human and alien tones. The connection, the possibility, it's overwhelming. Captain Holt, recognizing the growing chaos, sprang into action. Deploy the emergency pheromone suppressants, he ordered, his voice steady despite the waves of attraction he felt towards a nearby alien scientist. Dr. Kira developed these as a precaution. Let's hope they work. As the suppressants were released into the air, a measure of clarity returned to the human and alien personnel. However, the hybrid beings remain largely unaffected, their enhanced physiologies resistant to the suppressant's effects. Aboard the battle cruiser, Admiral Vexor experienced an unexpected reaction to Jesse Zara's pheromones. Instead of succumbing to base desires, he found his mind clearing, expanding. Years of prejudice and misunderstanding fell away, replaced by a vision of a future where humans and aliens coexisted in harmony. Enough, Vexor declared, his voice ringing with newfound purpose. This conflict ends now. With swift, decisive movements, Vexor input his command codes, standing down all alien forces under his control. He then initiated a galaxy-wide broadcast, his stabilized hybrid form visible to all. To all alien and human forces, Vexor began, his eyes gleaming with conviction. I, Admiral Vexor, hereby declare an immediate cessation of hostilities. The time has come for a new era of cooperation between our species. The approaching Earth-Ulian resistance fleet, still under the lingering influence of Jesse Zara's emotionally charged broadcast, received Vexor's message with a mix of surprise and cautious optimism. The fleet commanders, their own inhibitions lowered, found themselves more receptive to the idea of a ceasefire than they might have been under normal circumstances. This is unprecedented, the human fleet admiral murmured, turning to his alien counterpart. But perhaps it's time we listened. As the fleets entered Mars orbit, agreeing to a temporary truce, Jesse Zara became aware of strange sensations within their shared body. Cellular changes were occurring at a rapid pace, their hybrid physiology continuing to evolve in response to recent events. Dr. Kira, her scientific curiosity overriding the lingering effects of the pheromones, approached Jesse Zara with an urgent request. Your hybrid form is undergoing remarkable changes, she said, her eyes alight with excitement. If we study these developments, we could gain crucial insights into solving the alien genetic crisis and improving future human-alien hybridization. As Jesse Zara considered Dr. Kira's proposal, they felt a growing connection with the other hybrid beings on Mars. Through their enhanced abilities, they sensed the awakening consciousness and confusion of these new hybrids. We need to help them, Jesse Zara said, their dual voice filled with empathy. They're looking to us for guidance. The events on Mars had set in motion a chain reaction throughout human and alien space. As news of the successful hybridization and potential peace spread, intense debates erupted across both societies. Some saw it as an opportunity for unprecedented advancement, while others feared the loss of their species' unique identities. Jesse Zara, Captain Holt, Dr. Kira, and the newly cooperative Admiral Vexer found themselves at the center of this storm. As they prepared to enter negotiations with the arriving fleet commanders, they knew that the decisions made in the coming hours would shape the future of both species and the newly emerged hybrid beings. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and the true test of Jesse Zara's unique abilities was about to begin. The hybrid beings on Mars looked to Jesse Zara with a mix of awe and uncertainty, their own forms still adjusting to the rapid changes brought on by their awakening. As Jesse Zara prepared to address the assembled forces, they felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through their body. Their skin began to shimmer, taking on a subtle iridescence that shifted between human and Ulian tones. The sensation was both exhilarating and disorienting. "Dr. Kira," Jesse Zara called out, their dual voice tinged with concern. "Something's happening to us." Dr. Kira rushed over, her scientific curiosity overriding any lingering effects of the pheromones. She ran a quick scan with her handheld device, her eyes widening at the results. "Your hybrid physiology is undergoing rapid changes," she explained, her voice filled with excitement. "It seems the recent energy exchanges and emotional stress have triggered a new phase of evolution." Before Jesse Zara could respond, Captain Holt's voice crackled over the comms. "We've got a situation down here. The hybrid beings from the stasis pods are exhibiting similar changes. We need guidance on how to proceed." Jesse Zara closed their eyes, focusing on the connection they felt with the other hybrids. Through their enhanced abilities, they sensed a mix of confusion, fear, and wonder emanating from the beings on the surface. "We need to help them," Jesse Zara said, their voice filled with commitment. "They're looking to us for guidance." Admiral Vexer, still adjusting to his newly stabilized form, stepped forward. "I propose we establish a dedicated research facility here on Mars. We can study these changes and provide a safe environment for the hybrids to acclimate." Dr. Kira nodded enthusiastically. "Agreed. We'll need to conduct a series of non-invasive tests to understand the full extent of these physiological changes." As plans for the research facility were set in motion, Jesse Zara felt another wave of change wash over them. Their skin began to emit a soft, barely perceptible glow. The air around them filled with a sweet, musky scent, a new type of pheromone their body was producing. Dr. Kira's eyes widened as she observed the change. "Fascinating," she murmured, quickly adjusting her sensors. "Your body seems to be developing the ability to produce a wide range of pheromones. This could have significant implications for human-Ulian interactions." Over the next few days, as the research facility took shape, Jesse Zara's body continued to evolve. They found they could now manipulate their appearance at will, shifting between more human-like and Ulian-like features with a mere thought. The other hybrid beings, now housed in a separate facility dubbed Haven, began to exhibit similar changes. Captain Holt oversaw their care and integration, working closely with Jesse Zara to ensure their needs were met. As word of these developments spread, the Mars facilities became a hub of activity. Human and Ulian scientists flocked to the Red Planet, eager to study the hybrid phenomena. Among them were Dr. Ethan Brown and Lyra, a charismatic human-Ulian pair, who volunteered to undergo a controlled hybridization process. "We believe this is the key to lasting peace between our species," Dr. Brown explained during a briefing with Jesse Zara and the research team. "By experiencing the hybrid state ourselves, we can bridge the gap of understanding." Lyra nodded in agreement, her Ulian features softening as she spoke. "Our bodies may change, but our commitment to this cause remains constant." As preparations for the controlled hybridization experiments began, Jesse Zara found themselves at the center of attention. Their unique abilities and rapidly evolving physiology made them the key to unlocking the secrets of successful human-Ulian integration. Dr. Kira worked tirelessly to set up specialized chambers for the hybridization process. "We'll use carefully calibrated doses of Jesse Zara's pheromones and hybrid energy to initiate the transformation," she explained to Dr. Brown and Lyra. "The process will take several days and we'll monitor you closely throughout." As the first volunteers entered the hybridization chambers, Jesse Zara felt a new sensation stirring within them. Their bodies seemed to pulse with energy, and they experienced an intense urge to connect with others on a deeper level. Dr. Kira, Jesse Zara said, their voice tight with concern, I think our body might be preparing for reproduction. The implications of this development sent shockwaves through the research team. If human Ulian hybrids could reproduce, it opened up a whole new realm of possibilities and potential complications. As the days passed, tension began to build both on Mars and throughout human and Ulian space. News of the hybridization experiments polarized public opinion. Some saw it as the dawn of a new era of peace and understanding, while others viewed it as a threat to the purity of their respective species. The controversy came to a head when a group of human purists launched an attack on the Mars research facility. Alarms blared as they attempted to sabotage the hybridization chambers and destroy vital research data. Captain Holt's security team sprang into action, repelling the attackers with a coordinated response. Jesse Zara used their newly enhanced abilities to create a protective barrier around the most critical areas of the facility. As the dust settled, Admiral Vexer made a decisive move. He deployed a contingent of his most loyal Ulian forces to bolster security around the Mars facilities. The sight of Ulian ships entering Mars orbit sent a clear message about the seriousness of the situation. In the aftermath of the attack, Jesse Zara stood before a gathering of human and Ulian representatives, their form glowing softly in the dim light of the conference room. The fate of two species, and perhaps a new third species, hung in the balance as they prepared to address the assembled crowd. We stand at a crossroads, Jesse Zara began, their dual voice resonating with purpose. The path ahead is uncertain, but it holds the promise of a future where humans and Ulians can coexist in harmony. Together, we can forge a new understanding that transcends our biological differences. As Jesse Zara spoke, they felt another wave of change building within them. Their body hummed with potential, and they knew that whatever came next would shape the future of interstellar relations for generations to come. To come would shape the future of interstellar relations for generations to come. As Jesse Zara finished their speech, a sudden wave of energy surged through their body, causing their skin to emit an intense, pulsating glow. The assembled crowd gasped in awe as Jesse Zara's bioluminescence intensified, bathing the conference room in a soft, otherworldly light. The air grew thick with a sweet, musky scent, and within moments the atmosphere in the room began to shift palpably. Dr. Kira, who had been monitoring Jesse Zara's vital signs, let out a startled exclamation. Jesse Zara, your pheromone production has just spiked exponentially. The effect on the gathered humans and Ulians was almost immediate. Eyes dilated, breathing quickened, and an unmistakable tension filled the air. A human diplomat locked eyes with his Ulian counterpart, their previous animosity melting away as they moved closer to one another. What's happening? Captain Holt demanded, his voice strained as he fought against the rising tide of arousal. Dr. Kira's fingers flew over her datapad, analyzing the readings. The pheromones are causing heightened arousal and lowered inhibitions. It's affecting everyone in proximity to Jesse Zara. As if to underscore her point, a human scientist and Ulian researcher in the back of the room suddenly embraced, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss. The sight seemed to break a dam, and within moments the conference room erupted into a frenzy of interspecies intimate encounters. Jesse Zara watched in shock as the situation unfolded around them. We need to contain this, they said, their dual voice tight with concern. Dr. Kira nodded, already tapping furiously at her communicator. Initiating emergency containment protocols, she announced. All non-hybrid personnel, put on your filtration masks immediately. We're activating the facility-wide air purification system. As the order went out, security personnel began distributing specialized masks to those still coherent enough to comply. However, it quickly became apparent that the masks were only partially effective. The pheromones were so potent that they could be absorbed through skin contact as well. Captain Holt, struggling to maintain his composure, turned to Jesse Zara. We need to get you isolated until we can control this, he said, his voice husky. Dr. Kira, can you synthesize something to counteract the effects? Dr. Kira shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. Not without further study, For now, our best bet is containment and dilution. As they worked to manage the situation in the conference room, reports began flooding in from across the Mars facilities. The pheromone effect had spread rapidly, leading to a surge of spontaneous, intimate encounters between humans and Ulians throughout the complex. The situation at Haven, the Hybrid Integration Center, was particularly intense. Dr. Brown and Lyra, along with the other newly transformed hybrids, were experiencing an overwhelming urge to mate. The air in the facility crackled with sexual tension as hybrids paired off, their new bodies glowing with arousal and excitement. Captain Holt, receiving updates from his security team, made a quick decision. "We need to establish designated interaction zones at Haven," he ordered, areas where hybrids can safely explore their new physiologies without risking further spread of the pheromones. As the security team worked to implement this plan, word of the pheromone-induced encounters began to spread beyond the Mars facilities. The complex's communication channels were flooded with requests from human and Ullian couples seeking to experience the effects firsthand. Admiral Vexer, recognizing the potential diplomatic implications of the situation, called for an emergency meeting with Earth and Ullian representatives. "We need to discuss the possibility of using controlled doses of Jessie Zara's pheromones as a tool for fostering interspecies cooperation," he proposed, his newly stabilized hybrid form giving weight to his words. The suggestion sparked a heated debate among the representatives. Some saw it as a revolutionary method for breaking down barriers between their species, while others raised concerns about the ethical implications and potential for abuse. As the discussions raged on, Jessie Zara felt another wave of change ripple through their body. Their skin began to shift, developing a subtle, iridescent quality that seemed to reflect their inner emotional state. The shimmering colors danced across their skin, making it nearly impossible for them to conceal their feelings. Dr. Kira, noticing the change, approached Jessie Zara with a mix of scientific curiosity and concern. "Your physiological changes are accelerating," she observed, running a scanner over their shifting skin. "This new feature could have significant implications for your role as a hybrid leader and diplomat." Jessie Zara nodded, their dual voice tinged with a mix of wonder and apprehension. "We can feel the changes happening within us," they said. "It's as if our body is constantly adapting, evolving to meet the challenges we face." As they spoke, a group of human and Ullian engineers approached, led by a tall, slender Ullian with intricate markings on her forehead. "Pardon the interruption," she said, her voice melodious, "but we've begun work on a new project that might help address our current situation." The engineer went on to explain their plans for Harmony Dome, a self-contained habitat designed specifically for hybrid physiology. The structure would provide a safe environment for hybrids to live and interact without affecting the wider population. As Jessie Zara listened to the plans for Harmony Dome, they felt a strange sensation building within them. Their skin began to glow more intensely, and a new scent filled the air around them, different from the arousal-inducing pheromones from earlier. Dr. Kira's eyes widened as she analyzed the readings from her scanner. "Incredible," she breathed. "Jessie Zara, I think you've just developed the ability to produce a new type of pheromone, one that can temporarily suppress the hybrid transformation process in others." The implications of this discovery sent a ripple of excitement through the assembled group. This new pheromone could offer a solution to control the spread of unintended hybridization and manage the growing hybrid population. As Dr. Kira began outlining plans to synthesize and distribute this new pheromone, Jessie Zara's attention was drawn to a commotion at the entrance to the conference room. Captain Holt burst in, his face grave. "We've received intelligence," he announced, his voice tense. "The human purist group that attacked us before is regrouping. They're planning a more ambitious assault, targeting Harmony Dome and all our hybrid-related facilities on Mars." The room fell silent as the weight of this new threat settled over them. Jessie Zara felt a surge of persistence course through their body, their skin shimmering with a fierce, protective glow. "We need to be ready," they said, their dual voice resonating with purpose. "It's time to show both humans and Ullians the true potential of our hybrid nature." As the others nodded in agreement, Jesse Zara knew that the challenges ahead would test not only their evolving abilities, but also the very future of human-Ulian relations. The next steps they took would be crucial in shaping the destiny of both species, and perhaps the emergence of a new one. As Jesse Zara contemplated the challenges ahead, a commotion near the hydroponic gardens caught their attention. Dr. Kira burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "Jesse Zara, Captain Holt, you need to see this immediately," she said, gesturing for them to follow. The trio hurried to the experimental gardens, where a group of researchers stood in awe before a row of thriving plants. The vegetation, a mix of earth and alien species, had grown to unprecedented sizes in a matter of hours. Dr. Kira pointed to a nearby sensor array. "The hybrid pheromones are having an extraordinary effect on the Martian soil. We're seeing accelerated growth rates and increased yields across all our test crops." Captain Holt leaned in to examine a cluster of plump, vibrant tomatoes. "This could be a game changer for our food production capabilities," he mused. Jesse Zara reached out, their iridescent skin shimmering as they gently touched a leaf. The plant seemed to respond, its stem stretching towards their hand. "We may have stumbled upon a solution to food scarcity on Mars," they said, their dual voice tinged with wonder. Recognizing the potential of this discovery, Captain Holt wasted no time in mobilizing resources. "Dr. Kira, I want you to expand these hydroponic facilities immediately. Bring in a joint team of human and Ulian botanists and recruit hybrid volunteers to assist." As the expansion efforts got underway, Jesse Zara found themselves pulled in multiple directions. They divided their time between overseeing the agricultural developments, preparing for their public demonstrations, and consulting on the final stages of Harmony Dome's construction. The dome itself was a marvel of engineering, its sleek curves rising from the Martian landscape like a shimmering mirage. Inside, a network of advanced air filtration systems hummed quietly, designed to manage the complex cocktail of pheromones produced by its hybrid inhabitants. As the first group of hybrids began moving into Harmony Dome, Jesse Zara observed with fascination how they instinctively formed a unique social structure. Human concepts of personal space blended seamlessly with Ulian communal living habits, creating a harmonious environment that was entirely new. Meanwhile, in preparation for their public demonstrations, Jesse Zara underwent a series of rigorous physical tests. They stood before a gathered crowd of scientists and officials, their skin pulsing with a soft glow of anticipation. "For our first demonstration," announced Dr. Kira, "Jesse Zara will showcase their enhanced strength." With fluid grace, Jesse Zara approached a massive piece of Martian mining equipment. They gripped the metal frame, muscles tensing beneath their iridescent skin. With a smooth motion, they lifted the multi-ton machinery off the ground, holding it aloft as the crowd gasped in amazement. Next came tests of agility and cognitive function. Jesse Zara navigated a complex obstacle course with inhuman speed and precision, their movements a blur of controlled power. They then solved a series of advanced mathematical equations in mere seconds, their mind processing the information at speeds that left the human and Ulian observers in awe. As Jesse Zara completed the final test, a strange sensation washed over them. Their skin began to tingle, and they felt a surge of energy coursing through their body. Dr. Kira, ever vigilant, noticed the change immediately. "Jesse Zara, your skin, it's changing," she said, approaching with a handheld scanner. Before their eyes, Jesse Zara's skin took on a new quality. It became more translucent, with a network of fine, leaf-like structures visible just beneath the surface. Dr. Kira's scanner beeped rapidly as it processed the data. "Incredible," she breathed. "Your skin has developed chloroplasts. You're photosynthesizing." The implications of this new ability sent ripples of excitement through the research team. Jesse Zara stood in a patch of sunlight streaming through a nearby window, feeling the energy of the sun being absorbed directly into their body. This adaptation could revolutionize long-term space exploration, Captain Holt said, his mind already racing with possibilities. As news of these developments spread beyond Mars, the research facilities found themselves at the center of a new controversy. Human and Ulian corporations, sensing the potential for immense profits, began lobbying their governments for access to hybrid research. Admiral Vexor, his own hybrid form, a testament to the complexities of their situation, called for an emergency meeting with Earth and Alien representatives. The debate was heated, with passionate arguments on both sides. Privatization could accelerate our progress exponentially, argued a human corporate representative. At what cost, countered an alien scientist? We cannot allow the commodification of hybrid biology. As the discussions raged on, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Captain Holt's communicator crackled to life with an urgent message. "Sir, we have a security breach at Harmony Dome," a voice reported. "The Purist Group has launched their attack." Jesse Zara's skin flashed with patterns of alarm and purpose. Without hesitation, they sprinted towards Harmony Dome, their enhanced physiology allowing them to cover the distance in record time. As they approached, they saw a stolen Ulian shuttle breaching the dome's outer defenses. A section of the habitat depressurized, and Jesse Zara could hear the sounds of weapons fire echoing from within. Drawing on their newfound abilities, Jesse Zara focused intensely. Their skin began to glow brightly, and a shimmering field of energy extended from their body. They directed this bioluminescent force field towards the breach, containing the depressurization and allowing Captain Holt's security team to focus on neutralizing the attackers. In the chaos of the firefight, a canister of concentrated hybrid pheromones was ruptured. One of the attackers, a human purist, was engulfed in the cloud of potent biochemicals. His body began to convulse, the uncontrolled hybridization process taking hold with frightening speed. As the security team subdued the remaining attackers, Dr. Kira and her team rushed to isolate the rapidly transforming individual. Jesse Zara watched, their dual-tone voice heavy with concern, as the man was placed in a containment unit for observation and study. With the immediate threat neutralized, Jesse Zara turned their attention to the damaged section of Harmony Dome. Using their photosynthetic ability, they began to generate excess energy, channeling it to power emergency repair systems. As they worked, Jesse Zara's mind raced with the implications of recent events: the attack, the corporate interest, the accelerated hybridization. Each development added new complexity to an already intricate situation. They knew that their upcoming public demonstrations would be more crucial than ever in shaping the future of human-alien relations. With Harmony Dome secured and the hybrid community within shaken but unbroken, Jesse Zara prepared to face their next challenge. They would need to leverage every aspect of their unique biology and perspective to navigate the turbulent waters ahead, all while staying true to the potential of their hybrid nature. As the Martian sun set on the dome, casting long shadows across the transformed landscape, Jesse Zara stood at the precipice of a new era. The future of two species, and perhaps a third, hung in the balance, with each decision and discovery pushing them further into uncharted territory. As the Martian sun set on the dome, casting long shadows across the transformed landscape, Jesse Zara stood at the precipice of a new era. The future of two species, and perhaps a third, hung in the balance, with each decision and discovery pushing them further into uncharted territory. The following day, Jesse Zara entered the facility's gymnasium for a routine training session. As they began their workout, pushing their hybrid body to its limits, a strange sensation washed over them. Their skin tingled, and a new, musky scent filled the air. Dr. Kira, who had been monitoring Jesse Zara's vitals from a nearby console, noticed an immediate change in the room's atmosphere. Her eyes widened as she observed the effect on the Ulian female researchers present. "Jesse Zara, stop your workout immediately," Dr. Kira commanded, her voice urgent. But it was too late. The Ulian females in the gym had already begun to react to the new pheromone. Their pupils dilated, skin flushed, and heart rates skyrocketed. One of the researchers, Dr. Lyra, took a step towards Jesse Zara, her movements fluid and purposeful. I feel strange," Dr. Lyra said, her voice husky. "Jesse Zara, you smell incredible." Captain Holt burst into the gymnasium, alerted by the sudden spike in biometric readings from the room. He took in the scene before him, quickly assessing the situation. "Lock down the gym," he ordered into his communicator. No one in or out until we understand what's happening. The facility's containment protocols activated, sealing the gymnasium. Dr. Kira, protected by her human physiology, moved swiftly to collect air samples and began running analysis on her portable scanner. "Jessie Zara," she called out, "your sweat glands are producing a new type of pheromone. It appears to have a powerful effect on Ullian females." Jessie Zara stood motionless, their iridescent skin shimmering with a mix of confusion and concern. The affected Ullian females had formed a loose circle around them, their eyes locked onto Jessie Zara's form with an intensity that was both fascinating and unsettling. Dr. Brown, who had been observing from behind a protective screen, spoke into the intercom. "The behavior, it's reminiscent of Ullian mating rituals I've studied in their native wildlife. This is extraordinary." Captain Holt, ever practical, began issuing orders. "We need to isolate the affected individuals for observation. Dr. Kira, can we neutralize this pheromone?" Dr. Kira shook her head, her fingers flying over her scanner. "Not yet. We need to study it further. For now, we'll have to rely on physical isolation." As a team of human medical staff entered the gym in protective gear, they carefully guided the affected Ullian females to a separate observation room. Dr. Lyra, still visibly affected, cast a longing glance back at Jessie Zara before the doors closed behind her. In the days that followed, the Mars facility buzzed with activity. Dr. Kira and her team worked around the clock to analyze the new pheromone, while Captain Holt implemented stricter security measures around Jessie Zara. "You'll need to be accompanied by a security detail at all times," Captain Holt explained to Jessie Zara. "They'll be equipped with specialized filtration gear to protect against the pheromone's effects." Jessie Zara nodded, their dual-toned voice tinged with concern. "I understand, but what about the long-term implications? How will this affect our integration efforts?" Before Captain Holt could respond, an alert sounded on his communicator. He frowned as he read the message. "We've got another situation. There's been a surge in hybridization requests from human males. They've heard about your new ability." Jessie Zara's skin pulsed with patterns of surprise and unease. "They want to become like me? But we don't even understand the full extent of these changes yet." Captain Holt sighed, rubbing his temples. "I know, but try telling that to a bunch of humans who think they've found the ultimate aphrodisiac. Dr. Brown and Lyra are already working on expanding our medical wing to handle the influx." As they discussed the developing situation, Dr. Kira entered the room, her face alight with excitement. "Jessie Zara, we've made a breakthrough. We've identified the key molecular structures in your new pheromone. With further research, we might be able to synthesize it artificially." Jessie Zara's skin shimmered with a mix of relief and apprehension. "That's good news, right? It means you won't have to rely on my sweat for production." Dr. Kira nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. But we'll still need your help. We're setting up a specialized chamber where you can exercise safely while we collect samples. It'll be a daily routine, but it's crucial for our research." As the implications of these new developments sank in, Jessie Zara felt the weight of responsibility settling on their shoulders. Their unique biology was once again at the center of scientific and social upheaval, reshaping the future of human-Ullian relations in ways they could never have imagined. The following week saw a flurry of activity in the Mars facilities. The medical wing expanded rapidly, with new hybridization chambers being constructed to meet the growing demand. Dr. Brown and Lyra, now recovered from the initial exposure to Jessie Zara's pheromones, took charge of the hybridization process, their own experiences providing invaluable insight. In the hydroponic gardens, the botanical team marveled at the accelerated growth rates of their crops. Plants that once took months to mature now reach full growth in weeks, their leaves lusher and fruits more abundant than ever before. "It's not just the speed of growth," one of the botanists explained to Jessie Zara during a tour. "We're seeing entirely new characteristics in some species. It's as if your pheromones are unlocking hidden potential in their genetic code." As Jessie Zara observed the thriving plants, they couldn't help but wonder about the hidden potential being unlocked in their own hybrid form. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, and new questions about the future they were helping to shape. In Harmony Dome, the effects of Jesse Zara's new pheromone became a topic of intense discussion among the hybrid community. Some hybrids reported developing similar, albeit weaker, pheromone production abilities. This led to the formation of new social groups based on pheromone compatibility, adding another layer of complexity to the evolving hybrid society. As Jesse Zara settled into their new routine of daily pheromone collection sessions, they found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of scientific research, diplomatic negotiations, and social change. The arrival of diplomatic envoys from Earth and Ulian governments added to the pressure, their presence a constant reminder of the wider implications of the ongoing experiments. One evening, as Jesse Zara prepared to enter the collection chamber, Dr. Kira approached them with a thoughtful expression. "We're making progress on synthesizing the pheromone," she said, "but there's still so much we don't understand about its effects on both species. Your continued cooperation is invaluable, Jesse Zara." Jesse Zara nodded, their skin shimmering with a pattern that conveyed both drive and uncertainty. As they stepped into the chamber, ready to contribute once again to the ongoing research, they couldn't help but wonder what new changes and challenges the future might hold. "Bring." The chamber doors hissed open, and Jesse Zara stepped out, their skin glistening with exertion. Dr. Kira approached, her eyes bright with excitement. "Jesse Zara, we've done it. We've successfully synthesized your pheromone." Jesse Zara's skin rippled with surprise. "You've created an artificial version?" "Yes," Dr. Kira nodded, leading them to her lab. "It's stable and controllable. This changes everything." In the lab, Jesse Zara observed a clear liquid in a vial. Dr. Kira explained, "This synthetic pheromone opens up countless possibilities for research and application." Over the next few weeks, the Mars facility underwent rapid expansion. A new wing dedicated to pheromone research and production rose from the red soil. Captain Holt oversaw the installation of advanced security systems, his team working tirelessly to safeguard the valuable compound. "We can't risk unauthorized access," Holt said during a briefing. "The potential for misuse is too great." As news of the breakthrough spread, a group of Ulian females volunteered for a long-term exposure study. Dr. Kira converted a section of the research wing into specialized living quarters, equipping it with state-of-the-art monitoring systems. "We'll track every physiological change," she explained to the volunteers. "Your contribution will be invaluable to our understanding of pheromone effects." Meanwhile, Jesse Zara noticed changes in their own body. During a routine checkup, they shared their observations with Dr. Brown. "I think I can control my pheromone output now," Jesse Zara said, their dual-tone voice tinged with wonder. Dr. Brown's eyes widened. "Show me." Jesse Zara concentrated, and the air in the room subtly shifted. A nearby plant visibly perked up, its leaves reaching towards them. "Fascinating," Dr. Brown murmured, making notes. "This could revolutionize our research methods." The success of the pheromone synthesis attracted attention from various industries. Representatives from agricultural and pharmaceutical companies arrived on Mars, eager to explore potential applications. Admiral Vexer, recognizing the economic implications, established a review committee. "We must carefully consider each proposal," he stated during a video conference. "The potential benefits are enormous, but so are the risks." In Harmony Dome, the hybrid community began experimenting with pheromone-based communication. Jesse Zara visited frequently, helping others learn to modulate their pheromone output. During one such session, a young hybrid named Tara suddenly exclaimed, "I can sense what you're feeling." The room buzzed with excitement as hybrids practiced conveying emotions and simple concepts through pheromones alone. Jesse Zara watched, their skin pulsing with pride and astonishment at this new form of nonverbal language. The botany team, inspired by their earlier success, embarked on an ambitious terraforming experiment. They selected a barren area outside the dome and began treating it with a mixture of hybrid pheromones and engineered bacteria. "If this works," the lead botanist explained to Jesse Zara as they surveyed the test site, "we could transform the Martian landscape on a massive scale." As the days passed, Dr. Brown and Lyra made an unexpected discovery. They noticed subtle changes in the non-hybrid humans and Ulians exposed to the synthesized pheromones. "Look at these readings," Lyra said. pointing to a holographic display. Their sensory perception and stamina have increased significantly. The implications of this finding sent ripples through the scientific community on Mars. Dr. Kira immediately initiated a new study to investigate the long-term effects of pheromone exposure on non-hybrid populations. The growing success of the Mars facilities caught the attention of interstellar media. A team of journalists arrived, eager to document the advancements in pheromone technology in the evolving hybrid society. Captain Holt's security team faced new challenges with the influx of media personnel. "Remember," he briefed his officers, "we need to balance transparency with security. Some information remains classified." Jesse Zara agreed to participate in a series of interviews and demonstrations. In one session, they stood before a group of journalists, cameras hovering silently around them. "Watch closely," Jesse Zara said, their skin shimmering with concentration. They focused on a potted plant, releasing a carefully controlled burst of pheromones. The plant's leaves unfurled visibly, drawing gasps from the audience. Next, Jesse Zara approached a visibly nervous human reporter. With another pheromone release, the reporter's tension visibly melted away, replaced by a serene expression. "As you can see," Jesse Zara explained, their dual-tone voice clear and confident, "the applications of this technology are vast and varied." The demonstrations continued, showcasing the potential of pheromone technology in agriculture, medicine, and even physical performance enhancement. The journalists' questions flew fast and furious, their excitement palpable. As the interviews concluded, Jesse Zara stood at the viewing window of the Mars facility, gazing out at the red landscape. The synthetic pheromone had opened up a new chapter in human-alien relations, full of promise and potential pitfalls. They knew that the path ahead would be complex, requiring careful navigation of scientific, ethical, and social challenges. Dr. Kira joined them at the window, her face reflecting the Martian sunset. "We're on the brink of something revolutionary," she said softly. Jesse Zara nodded, their skin pulsing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As they watched the shadows lengthen across the Martian surface, they couldn't help but wonder what new discoveries and challenges the next day would bring. As Jesse Zara contemplated the future, a piercing alarm shattered the calm atmosphere of the Mars facility. Captain Holt's voice crackled over the intercom, urgency evident in his tone. "All senior personnel report to the command center immediately. We have an unidentified object approaching Mars." Jesse Zara exchanged a concerned glance with Dr. Kira before they rushed to the command center. Upon arrival, they found Admiral Vexer already engaged in a heated discussion with Captain Holt. "What's the situation?" Jesse Zara asked, their skin pulsing with patterns of curiosity and apprehension. Admiral Vexer turned to address them, his face grave. "Our long-range sensors have detected a massive spacecraft entering the solar system. It's on a direct course for Mars." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a sleek, otherworldly vessel that dwarfed even the largest human or alien ships. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent glow, unlike anything they had ever seen before. "Are they responding to our hails?" Dr. Kira asked, her eyes fixed on the approaching ship. Captain Holt shook his head. "Not yet, but our translators are working overtime to decipher a signal they're broadcasting." Suddenly, the screen filled with static before resolving into an image of a being unlike any they had encountered. The alien had luminescent skin that pulsed with subtle patterns of light, and large, expressive eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Greetings, inhabitants of Mars," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious blend of tones. "We are the Zendra, and we come seeking knowledge and collaboration." Admiral Vexer stepped forward, his posture cautious but diplomatic. "I am Admiral Vexer, representing the joint human-alien Mars colony. What brings you to our system?" The Zendra representative's skin flickered with patterns that seemed to convey excitement. "We have detected unique energy signatures emanating from your world. Our scans indicate advanced biotechnology and genetic manipulation. We are particularly fascinated by your hybridization research and something our sensors identify as pheromone technology." Jesse Zara felt all eyes in the room turn to them, their dual nature suddenly at the forefront of this unexpected first contact. After a tense discussion among the Mars leadership, Admiral Vexer made the decision to allow a small Zendra delegation to visit the facility. Within hours, a sleek shuttle departed from the massive Zendra ship, descending through the Martian atmosphere with otherworldly grace. Jesse Zara, along with Dr. Kira, Captain Holt, and Admiral Vexer, assembled at the newly constructed diplomatic reception area. The airlock cycled, and 5 Zendra stepped into the room, their bioluminescent skin casting a soft glow around them. The lead Zendra, introduced as Dr. Xalana, approached the group. Her large eyes focused intently on Jesse Zara. "Fascinating," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "You are the hybrid we detected from orbit. Your bioelectric field is unlike anything we've encountered before." Jesse Zara's skin rippled with a mix of pride and nervousness. "I'm honored to meet you, Dr. Solana. I hope our research can be of interest to your people." As the Zendra delegation toured the facilities, their advanced technology drew amazed looks from the human and alien scientists. In the pheromone production lab, Dr. Solana's interest peaked. "May I conduct a non-invasive scan of your physiology?" she asked Jesse Zara, holding up a small pulsating orb. After a nod of approval from Dr. Kira, Jesse Zara agreed. The orb hummed softly as it orbited Jesse Zara's body, bathing them in a soft blue light. Dr. Solana's eyes widened as she interpreted the results. "Extraordinary! Your glandular system is far more complex than we initially thought. And there's something else." Her voice trailed off as she focused on a particular set of data. "What is it?" Dr. Kira asked, moving closer to examine the holographic display. "There's a sequence in Jesse Zara's genetic structure that appears to be in a state of rapid evolution," Dr. Solana explained. "It's as if their hybrid form is still adapting, still changing." Before they could discuss this revelation further, Jesse Zara felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through their body. Their skin began to pulse rapidly, emitting a visible wave of pheromones that filled the room. The effect on the Zendra was immediate and unexpected. Dr. Solana and the other female Zendra in the delegation began to exhibit signs of intense attraction, their bioluminescent skin flashing in vibrant, mesmerizing patterns. "What's happening?" Captain Holt demanded, reaching for his communicator to call for backup. Dr. Solana struggled to maintain her composure, her voice strained. "Your pheromones. They're affecting us in ways we couldn't have anticipated. We need containment." Acting quickly, Captain Holt initiated emergency protocols, sealing off the lab and activating the air filtration system. As the pheromone-laden air was cleared, the affected Zendra gradually regained their composure. Once the situation stabilized, the male Zendra of the delegation approached Admiral Vexer with an unexpected revelation. "This development may be fortuitous," he said, his tone grave. "Our species has been facing a reproductive crisis due to genetic stagnation. Your hybridization technology, combined with these powerful pheromones, could potentially offer a solution." Admiral Vexer, recognizing the diplomatic and scientific implications of this development, nodded thoughtfully. "I believe this calls for a joint research initiative. We'll establish a new isolated facility for this collaborative effort." As plans for the new research facility were quickly put into motion, Jesse Zara found themselves at the center of an interstellar scientific collaboration that promised to reshape not just human-alien relations, but potentially the future of multiple species across the galaxy. The Zendra ship loomed in Mars orbit, a constant reminder of the new era they had entered. As Jesse Zara prepared for their first joint research session with Dr. Solana, they couldn't help but wonder what new changes this unexpected encounter would bring to their ever-evolving body and the future of interspecies relations. They couldn't help but wonder what new changes this unexpected encounter would bring to their ever-evolving body and the future of interspecies cooperation. In the weeks that followed, the Mars facilities underwent a period of rapid expansion and technological advancement. The collaborative efforts between humans, aliens, hybrids, and Zendra led to breakthroughs in bioengineering and pheromone technology. New laboratories, living quarters, and specialized research areas sprouted up across the Martian landscape, transforming the once barren outpost into a bustling interspecies metropolis. Jesse Zara found themselves at the center of this scientific whirlwind. Their ability to produce tailored pheromones for different species proved invaluable in developing new applications for interspecies communication and conflict resolution. Dr. Kira and Dr. Gizalana led a series of experiments to map the full range of Jesse Zara's pheromone production capabilities. During one such experiment, Jesse Zara stood in a specially designed chamber, surrounded by an array of sensors and monitoring equipment. Dr. Kira's voice came through the intercom. "All right, Jesse Zara, we're going to test your ability to produce pheromones that elicit specific emotional responses in multiple species simultaneously. Are you ready?" Jesse Zara nodded, their skin pulsing with a mix of excitement and concentration. They closed their eyes, focusing on the task at hand. As they began to release pheromones, something unexpected happened. Their skin began to glow, developing a series of intricate bioluminescent patterns that pulsed and shifted in response to their emotional state and pheromone output. Dr. Kira's gasp was audible through the intercom. "Jesse Zara, are you aware of what's happening to your skin?" Jesse Zara opened their eyes, looking down at their now glowing body in amazement. I can feel it. It's like a new way of expressing myself." Dr. Zelana, who had been observing from behind a protective barrier, stepped closer to the chamber, her large eyes wide with fascination. "This is remarkable," she said, her own bioluminescent skin pulsing in response to Jesse Zara's display. "It appears that Jesse Zara has developed a visual component to their pheromone-based communication, similar to our own species." The discovery of Jesse Zara's new ability sent ripples of excitement through the research community. Dr. Zelana, in particular, became increasingly interested in Jesse Zara's ongoing evolution. She proposed a more intensive study of their physiology, involving extended periods of close observation and interaction. Captain Holt, ever vigilant about security, initially hesitated. "We need to be careful," he warned during a meeting with the research team. "We don't fully understand the implications of these new developments." After much discussion and the implementation of strict supervision protocols, the study was approved. Jesse Zara and Dr. Irzalana began working closely together, spending long hours in specially designed research chambers. As their interactions became more frequent and intense, Jesse Zara noticed a change in Dr. Irzalana's behavior. The Zendra scientists' bioluminescent patterns often synchronized with Jesse Zara's during their research sessions, and she exhibited signs of strong attraction. During one particularly intense session, Jesse Zara was practicing fine control over their pheromone output, while Dr. Xilana monitored the results. As Jesse Zara concentrated, their skin erupted in a dazzling display of light and color. Dr. Xilana gasped, her own bioluminescence flaring in response. "Jesse Zara," she breathed, her voice filled with wonder. "Your control is improving exponentially. The complexity of the pheromones you're producing is extraordinary." Jesse Zara felt a surge of pride, their skin pulsing with patterns of joy and accomplishment. They noticed Dr. Silana moving closer, her eyes locked on Jesse Zara's glowing form. The moment was interrupted by Dr. Kira's voice over the intercom. "Excellent work, both of you. Let's take a break and reconvene in an hour to analyze the data." As Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana exited the research chamber, they found Dr. Kira waiting for them, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "The results we're seeing are unprecedented," Dr. Kira said, leading them to a nearby conference room. "Jesse Zara, your pheromone production capabilities are expanding at an astounding rate. And the effect on Dr. Zelana? Well, it's clear that prolonged exposure is having a significant impact." Dr. Zelana nodded, her skin still shimmering with residual patterns from the research session. "I believe this warrants further study," she said, her gaze lingering on Jesse Zara. "The potential for interspecies communication and understanding is immense." Dr. Kira agreed, but added a note of caution. "We need to proceed carefully. I'm initiating a new study to examine the long-term effects of prolonged exposure to hybrid pheromones on different alien physiologies. We'll be recruiting volunteers from among the Zendra delegation and our own population." As they discussed the details of the new study, an alert chimed on Dr. Kira's communicator. She checked the message and smiled. It seems our terraforming project is showing remarkable progress. The area we treated with hybrid pheromones and engineered bacteria is now supporting simple plant life. Plant. Jesse Zara's eyes widened in excitement. Can we see it? The three scientists made their way to an observation deck overlooking the Martian surface. In the distance, they could see patches of green amidst the red landscape, small oases of life sprouting from the once barren soil. As they watched the fruits of their labor, a fleet of ships appeared on the horizon. Dr. Kira consulted her communicator. "It looks like we have more visitors," she said. "Diplomatic envoys from various alien civilizations. News of our achievements is spreading faster than we anticipated." Jesse Zara felt a mix of excitement and apprehension as they watched the ships approach. Their role in this interspecies collaboration was growing more complex by the day, and they couldn't help but wonder what new challenges and opportunities these latest developments would bring. As the ships drew closer, Jesse Zara's skin began to pulse with patterns of anticipation and determination. Whatever came next, they knew they would face it head-on, their evolving abilities a bridge between worlds in this new era of interstellar cooperation. As the alien ships descended towards the Martian surface, Jesse Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Their role in this interstellar collaboration was growing more complex by the day, and they couldn't help but wonder what new challenges these latest developments would bring. In the days following the arrival of the new alien delegations, the Mars facilities underwent a flurry of activity. Admiral Vexer, recognizing the need for enhanced safety measures, ordered the construction of a specialized isolation chamber for Jesse Zara. "We can't risk another incident like the one with Dr. Zelana," Admiral Vexer explained during a briefing with Dr. Curie and Captain Holt. "This chamber will allow Jesse Zara to practice controlling their pheromone output in a contained environment." The isolation chamber, a marvel of engineering, featured advanced filtration systems and biometric monitors. Its sleek, transparent walls allowed for observation while maintaining a hermetic seal. Jesse Zara found themselves spending increasing amounts of time within this high-tech cocoon, working to harness their evolving abilities. During one of these daily sessions, Jesse Zara sat cross-legged in the center of the chamber, their skin pulsing with soft bioluminescent patterns. Dr. Kira's voice came through the intercom. "All right, Jesse Zara, let's try to produce a calming pheromone. Focus on feelings of peace and tranquility." Jesse Zara closed their eyes, concentrating on the task. As they did, they felt a strange, tingling sensation throughout their body. Suddenly, their eyes snapped open, and they gasped. "Dr. Kira, something's happening," Jesse Zara called out. "It feels different." Dr. Kira leaned closer to her monitoring station, her eyes widening as she analyzed the data. "Fascinating. Jesse Zara, you're producing a completely new type of pheromone. The chemical structure is unlike anything we've seen before." As the new pheromone filled the chamber, Jesse Zara felt an unexpected clarity of thought. Ideas and connections seemed to form more rapidly in their mind. "Dr. Kira, I think this pheromone is enhancing my cognitive function." Excited by this discovery, Dr. Kira quickly organized a series of controlled experiments to test the effects of the new cognitive-enhancing pheromone. Volunteers from various species, including humans, Ulians, and Zendra, participated in the trials. In one such experiment, a human scientist named Dr. Chen sat in a small sealed room adjacent to Jesse Zara's chamber. As Jesse Zara released the new pheromone, it was carefully filtered and introduced into Dr. Chen's room. "How do you feel, Dr. Chen?" Dr. Kira asked through the intercom. Dr. Chen blinked rapidly, his fingers flying over a datapad. "It's remarkable," he replied, his voice filled with awe. "My mind feels incredibly clear. I'm solving equations that would normally take me hours to work through." Similar results were observed across all species tested. The new pheromone consistently improved problem-solving abilities and memory retention, opening up exciting possibilities for cognitive enhancement. As word of these developments spread, the newly established diplomatic compound became a hub of activity. Admiral Vexer, seizing the opportunity to showcase the Mars facility's achievements, organized a series of tours and presentations for the visiting alien delegates. Jesse Zara, now trained in their diplomatic role, found themselves leading several of these tours. They stood before a group of alien visitors in one of the main research labs, their skin glowing with intricate patterns of blues and greens. As you can see, Jesse Zara explained, gesturing to a holographic display of their pheromone structures, our hybridization technology has led to unprecedented advancements in interspecies communication. As Jesse Zara spoke, they felt a familiar tingling sensation. Suddenly, their bioluminescent patterns shifted into a new configuration, one they had never seen before. The alien delegates gasped, their varied physiologies reacting in unexpected ways. A Zendra scientist in the group stepped forward, her large eyes wide with wonder. I can feel it, she said, her voice trembling. It's as if I can sense the emotions of everyone in this room. The barriers between us seem to be melting away. Jesse Zara realized they had inadvertently produced a new type of pheromone, one that induced a state of heightened empathy and understanding between different species. The implications of this discovery were staggering. Admiral Vexer, who had been observing the tour, quickly ushered Jesse Zara and the research team into a private meeting room. This could change everything, he said, his voice tight with excitement and concern. The potential applications in diplomacy alone are enormous, but we need to proceed with caution. As the team discussed the implications of the new empathy pheromone, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Captain Holt's voice came over the intercom, urgent and commanding. Attention all personnel. We have a code red situation. Containment breach in Research Lab 7. All non-essential staff, please evacuate to designated safe zones immediately. Emergency response teams, report to your stations. Jesse Zara felt a surge of panic. They had been in Research Lab 7 earlier that day, working with Dr. Xalana on adapting hybridization techniques for other species. What could have gone wrong? As the facility plunged into chaos, Jesse Zara realized that their evolving abilities, while full of promise, also carried unforeseen risks. The challenges ahead would test not only their control over their hybrid physiology, but also the delicate balance of interstellar relations they had worked so hard to establish. Jesse Zara's heart raced as they processed Captain Holt's urgent announcement. The alarms blared, their piercing sound echoing through the facility. Before they could react, a wave of dizziness washed over them, followed by an intense tingling sensation throughout their body. Jesse Zara, are you all right? Dr. Kira asked, her voice filled with concern. They tried to respond, but their words came out slurred. Suddenly, Jesse Zara's skin erupted in a brilliant display of pulsating colors, far more intense than anything they had produced before. A sweet, intoxicating scent filled the air. Admiral Vexer's eyes widened in realization. Containment breach. Everyone, out of the room now. As the group hurried to evacuate, Jesse Zara stumbled, their legs giving way beneath them. Dr. Xalana, who had been observing nearby, rushed to their side, her own bioluminescent patterns flaring in response. I've got you, she said, supporting Jesse Zara's weight. But as she inhaled the pheromone-laden air, her pupils dilated, and her skin began to shimmer with an answering glow. Captain Holt's voice crackled over the intercom once more. Attention all personnel. Initiate lockdown procedures immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. The facility plunged into controlled chaos as emergency teams scrambled to contain the situation. Jesse Zara, now fully aware of what was happening, felt a surge of panic and guilt. Their accidental release of aphrodisiac pheromones had triggered a facility-wide crisis. Over the next several days, the Mars facilities remained under strict lockdown. Decontamination teams worked tirelessly, their protective suits a stark contrast to the vibrant, pulsating patterns that now adorn the walls and floors, residual effects of Jesse Zara's pheromone release. In their isolation chamber, Jesse Zara sat cross-legged, eyes closed, focusing on controlling their pheromone output. The chamber's advanced filtration systems hummed constantly, working overtime to neutralize any stray molecules. Dr. Xalana stood on the other side of the transparent wall, her gaze fixed on Jesse Zara. Despite the risks, she had insisted on being part of the team directly overseeing their condition. Her own skin shimmered with patterns that mirrored Jesse Zara's, a visual representation of their growing connection. How are you feeling? Dr. Zilana asked, her voice slightly distorted by the chamber's communication system. Jesse Zara opened their eyes, meeting Dr. Zilana's concerned gaze. Physically, I'm fine, but the guilt, knowing what I've caused. Dr. Zilana pressed her hand against the transparent wall. This wasn't your fault. We're in uncharted territory here. No one could have predicted this. As the days passed, the prolonged proximity between Jesse Zara and Dr. Zilana began to produce unexpected results. Their synchronized bioluminescent patterns intensified, becoming more complex and intertwined. Medical scans revealed that their biochemistries were aligning in ways previously unseen in interspecies interactions. Meanwhile, in the main research lab, Dr. Kira and her team worked feverishly to develop an antidote. Holographic displays flickered with rapidly changing molecular structures as they tested countless combinations. We're close, Dr. Kira muttered, her eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. The key seems to be in combining elements from human, Ulian, and Zendra biochemistry. As the lockdown stretched on, a new problem emerged. The facility's air recycling systems, despite rigorous filtering, began to show trace amounts of the aphrodisiac pheromones. The effect was subtle at first, a lingering glance here, a fleeting touch there, but it soon became impossible to ignore. Captain Holt, ever the pragmatist, implemented a new security protocol. We're designating specific interaction zones throughout the facility, he announced during a staff briefing. These areas will be equipped with privacy screens and enhanced pheromone filtration systems. The interaction zones quickly became popular, leading to a surge in cross-species relationships. Humans and aliens alike found themselves drawn to these spaces, exploring new connections in ways they never had before. Admiral Vexer, recognizing the potential diplomatic implications of the situation, called for an emergency meeting with the heads of all alien delegations present on Mars. The conference room, hastily prepared with extra air filtration, buzzed with tension as representatives from various species took their seats. We find ourselves in an unprecedented situation, Admiral Vexer began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the circumstances. The recent events have raised concerns, but they have also opened up new possibilities for interspecies cooperation and understanding. As the delegates discussed the potential risks and benefits of the pheromone technology, Dr. Kira's team finally achieved a breakthrough. The new antidote, a shimmering blue liquid, proved effective in neutralizing the pheromone's effects without harming any of the affected species. Production of the antidote began immediately, with distribution teams working around the clock to deliver it throughout the facilities. As the pheromone's influence waned, attention turned back to Jesse Zara and Dr. Zilana. The medical team was stunned by what they found. Jesse Zara's hybrid biology had begun incorporating elements of Zendra physiology, while Dr. Zilana showed signs of developing human and Ulian traits. Their prolonged close contact had triggered a unique physiological change in both of them. As they were released from isolation, Jesse Zara and Dr. Zilana found themselves at the center of intense scientific interest. A team of xenobiologists from various species began a comprehensive study of their condition, hoping to unlock the secrets of their successful hybrid integration. Outside the facility, the terraforming project on the Martian surface resumed with renewed vigor. The expanded green belt, now visible from orbit, caught the attention of a new alien species. A massive ship, unlike any seen before, entered Mars orbit. Admiral Vexer received the transmission from the newcomers. Greetings, Mars facility. We are the Gaia Collective, a civilization of plant-based sentient beings. We have observed your terraforming efforts with great interest and wish to open diplomatic relations. As preparations for the Gaian diplomatic meetings began, Jesse Zara and Dr. Zilana stood side by side, watching the alien ship through the observation deck's window. Their bodies glowed with intertwined patterns of light, a visible symbol of the new era of interspecies cooperation and scientific advancement that lay ahead. The Mars facility stood on the brink of a new chapter, with unforeseen challenges and opportunities on the horizon. As Jesse Zara gazed at the stars, they couldn't help but wonder what new discoveries awaited them in this ever-expanding universe. Interstellar Frontier. Little did they know that their unique bond was about to catalyze a transformation that would reshape the face of Mars in the future of galactic relations. As weeks passed, the Interspecies Hybrid Research Institute took shape on the Martian landscape. The gleaming structure rose from the red soil, its architecture a fusion of human ingenuity and alien aesthetics. Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana spent countless hours in the new laboratories, pushing the boundaries of their hybrid physiology. One day, as they synchronized their bioluminescent patterns during an experiment, something extraordinary occurred. A surge of energy pulsed from their bodies, rippling through the air like a visible shock wave. The nearby vegetation, part of the ongoing terraforming efforts, responded dramatically. Plants that had been struggling to grow in the harsh Martian soil suddenly shot up, leaves unfurling and flowers blooming in a matter of minutes. Dr. Kira, who had been monitoring the experiment, stared in awe at her instruments. "This is unprecedented," she breathed, her eyes wide. "The plants aren't just growing, they're evolving at an accelerated rate. Your combined pheromone output is acting as a catalyst for terraforming." News of this discovery spread rapidly through the Mars facilities and beyond. The potential implications were staggering. What had begun as an accidental release of pheromones now held the key to transforming entire worlds. As the day of the Institute's inauguration approached, the Martian landscape underwent a stunning metamorphosis. Vast stretches of red dust gave way to lush greenery. The combined efforts of traditional terraforming techniques and Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana's unique abilities creating a paradise where once there was only desolation. The inauguration ceremony drew representatives from over 30 alien species, all eager to witness the marvel of Mars transformation and the potential of hybrid technology. The biodome, a massive structure designed to showcase the pinnacle of their research, stood ready for the main event. As Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana took center stage, a hush fell over the assembled crowd. Their skin began to glow, intricate patterns of light dancing across their bodies in perfect harmony. The air grew thick with an otherworldly fragrance, a blend of scents that seemed to resonate with each species present. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupted from the hybrid pair. It washed over the crowd like a tidal wave, its effect immediate and profound. Aliens who had struggled to communicate found themselves understanding each other with perfect clarity. Tensions between traditionally hostile species melted away, replaced by a sense of unity and shared purpose. Within the biodome, the effect was even more dramatic. The carefully cultivated hybrid plants responded to the energy pulse with explosive growth. Vines climbed the walls at visible speeds, flowers bloomed and released shimmering spores, and fruit-bearing trees matured in minutes. Admiral Vexer, standing at the podium, felt the change sweep through him. In that moment of heightened awareness, he saw the potential for a new era of galactic cooperation. Without hesitation, he proposed the formation of the Galactic Hybridization Alliance, with Mars as its central hub. The motion passed unanimously, met with thunderous applause from the assembled dignitaries. In the weeks that followed, Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana's bond continued to intensify. Their physiologies merged further, incorporating traits from the diverse array of species now calling Mars home. Their individual consciousness began to blur, thoughts and emotions flowing freely between them. During a routine examination, Dr. Kira noticed something extraordinary. "Your neural patterns," she explained, gesturing to a holographic display. "They're synchronizing to a degree I've never seen before. It's as if your minds are becoming one." Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana exchanged a look of understanding. They had felt this change coming, a natural progression of their deepening connection. In a voice that seemed to come from both of them, and neither of them at once, they spoke, "We are becoming something new." The process accelerated rapidly after that. In a matter of days, where once two beings stood, now there was one. This new entity, a perfect fusion of human, Ulian, and Zendra physiologies, opened its eyes and smiled. "I am Zara Zell," it announced, its voice a harmonious blend of Jesse Zara and Dr. Zelana's. "And I believe I can help usher in a new age for our galaxy." Zara Zell's control over their hybrid biology was unprecedented. They demonstrated the ability to selectively release pheromones with astonishing precision, promoting healing, enhancing cognitive function, and even temporarily granting hybrid traits to others. In a private meeting with Admiral Vexer in the newly formed Galactic Hybridization Alliance, Zarazel proposed a bold plan. "We can create a network of hybrid beings across the galaxy," they explained, their skins shimmering with excitement, each adapted to their local environments, capable of promoting interspecies cooperation and accelerating terraforming efforts. The Alliance, recognizing the potential of this proposal, greenlit the initiative. Volunteer programs were established, drawing participants from every corner of the galaxy. Under Zarazel's guidance, these volunteers underwent carefully controlled hybridization processes, emerging as new beings uniquely suited to bridge the gaps between species and worlds. As the first wave of hybrid ambassadors departed for distant planets, Zarazel stood in the Mars facility's observation deck, watching the ships launch into the star-studded sky. They felt a profound sense of purpose, knowing that the accidental discovery of a human's unique sweat had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The Red Planet, once a barren wasteland, now teemed with life. The Interspecies Hybrid Research Institute had grown into a sprawling complex, its laboratories and lecture halls filled with the brightest minds from across the cosmos. And at the heart of it all stood Zarazel, a living embodiment of the potential that lay in the union of diverse beings. As they turned their gaze from the sky to the verdant Martian landscape below, Zarazel allowed themselves a moment of reflection. The journey had been long and full of unexpected turns, but the future that lay ahead.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.